In this 4 hours long complete CI/CD masterclass for Azure Data Engineers, you will learn how to build and deploy your code and pipelines to the environments like QA and production using Azure DevOps, and that too with YAML files. As you know, I believe in practical learning, so in this particular masterclass, I will show you how to deploy the industry standard Azure Data Factory pipeline with parameters, data lakes, key vaults, access control, manage identities, service principles, variable groups, and much more. Because in the real world, we do not just deploy the simple pipeline, we deploy the entire infrastructure. And not just this, you will also learn how to add approval gates for the production environment pipeline, which is very important for CI/CD. The best part about this course is it is absolutely beginner friendly, and I have explained literally everything, including how to create and manage branches in your Git repo linked with Azure DevOps. And as you know, all of the notes and all of the code examples, everything will also be provided to you so that you can easily follow along. The demand of CI/CD is rapidly growing, and you can also see that particular skill in every job description for data engineering titles. And I think that makes sense because data engineers manage and deploy their code and pipelines by themselves. So take out your notebook because we're gonna take a lot of notes in this amazing masterclass. And if you are new on this channel, hey, what's up? This is Ansh Lamba, and this is your one-stop solution for data engineering. Hit the subscribe button if you also want to become a better data engineer. And let's get started with this amazing CI/CD masterclass. So what's up my data fam? Happy Sunday, and finally your CI/CD masterclass is here. More specifically, I can say Azure Data Engineering CI/CD pipeline, or you can say video masterclass is here, because Azure CI/CD is a very broader term in itself, because CI/CD is a dedicated domain which we refer as DevOps. But if you are in the data domain, you would know that data engineers manage a subdomain of that part, which is called Data Ops. And here, data engineers take care of their development and deployment, because we do not, you can say, include DevOps people in our projects. In some, you can say industry, in some, you can say organizations, they can. But in most of the projects that I have seen, only senior data engineers perform CI/CD, because we do not just deploy the code. We do not just deploy the, you can say, resources. We actually deploy the pipelines, parameters, storage accounts. There are so many things, linked services, everything. So in most of the cases that I have seen, senior data engineers deploy CI/CD pipelines. Plus, nowadays, as you know, every job description you read, you see written CI/CD. There's a reason behind it, because everyone wants those developers who understand the entire process. Only then even junior data engineers can write better code for their pipelines. Because if they do not know how this code, this pipeline will be deployed to multiple environments, they cannot write modularized pipelines, which is the backbone of CI/CD. That is why they write CI/CD in the job descriptions. Do not feel like, hey, this is just a DevOps, you can say, task, how they can just expect this from this thing from us. It is not like that. You have to know these things as well. So in this particular masterclass, I will teach you everything that you need if you are an Azure data engineer. Even if you are a learner, even if you're a beginner, you can just watch this video, because CI/CD runs parallelly with your learning. Prerequisites are very, very simple. You should know very basic Azure Data Factory knowledge, because here in this masterclass, we will learn how to deploy Azure Data Factory with storage account, with key vaults, with parameters, with pipelines, with datasets, with everything. Because when you learn how to deploy Azure Data Factory, which is the infrastructure in itself, you can just deploy any Azure resource that we data engineers use. Simple. I am not talking about here, you can say, your network, sub-networks. Obviously, you would need help from the DevOps team for that particular purpose. But I'm simply explaining you how to deploy the Azure data engineering things. And especially when we're just working with tech stack like Azure Data Factory, Synapse Analytics, and all of these things. So I hope it makes sense. And here, yes, we will be just using Azure DevOps. We will be using Git. We'll be using Azure Data Factory, storage account, key vaults, and we'll be using so much other things as well. So do not worry at all. So this is your complete CI/CD pipeline. And here, as you can see, this is our CI part. This is our CD part, and I will just show you the traditional ways to perform CI/CD plus the modern ways to perform CI/CD, including YAML pipelines, because this is the standard that we are following in the industry. So this masterclass will cover everything from scratch. So you do not need to worry at all. Simple. So now let's try to understand the very basic and fundamental part, which is Git, and let me just explain this entire architecture from scratch, because once you understand this architecture, only then you can understand the things that we are going to do in this masterclass. Let's try to just, you can say, unfold each part of this architecture. Okay, let's see. So let's say we are working with Azure Data Factory infrastructure. Okay, let's bring that. So this is our Azure Data Factory. Perfect. So as you know that whenever we work on the real project, real industry, real world project, you will not be the only developer who will be working on this project. If that is the case, you might be working on a demo project, or you can say on a weekend project. Okay, but if you are working on the real industry, you have to work with multiple developers. It can be 5, 10, 15, and even 20 developers if that is a big project. And I have seen like people like working more than 20 in one project if that is a big project. So just tell me one thing, if we have just one Azure Data Factory, and if we have, let's say, so many users, okay, so many users for that particular Azure Data Factory, what will happen? What will happen? Just think about it. Let's say you are a developer and your name is, let's say, whatever name, okay, let's say Sahil. Okay, let's take Sahil name. So let's say this Sahil will be changing some things in the Azure Data Factory. Okay. Now these changes can create a conflict, because these users can also change the same pipeline. These users can also change the same pipeline. These users can also change something, can build a new pipeline, but that pipeline was never saved. So there can be so many conflicts. This data factory will be moving in a circle and will not have the real development in its workspace. Make sense? I hope so. Simple? Very good. So what is the solution of this problem? The solution is Git. Okay. What is this Git? I hope that you would have a very little understanding about Git. Even if you do not have, do not worry, I will just tell you. So here what I will do, this Sahil will say, hey bro, you all stay away from my Azure Data Factory and give me 5 minutes. I will just do something in this data factory, and then everyone can work on it and no one will be affected. What Sahil will do? Sahil will enable something called as Git. Oh, okay. Sahil will enable something called as Git. So what this Git will do, Git is actually a kind of version control system, or you can say version control software that we use within any particular software. Simple. But this Git needs to be connected with a repository. Repository, you can treat repository as, you can say, anything where we dump all of the code. Repository is our source of truth. Okay. Now this Git, this software Git, can be downloaded on your local system as well if you are just building anything on your local system, but we are not doing that, right? So where do we need to download this Git? We will be using something called as Azure DevOps. Yes, Azure DevOps is a kind of Azure service, first of all, which has Git installed. That means we can just work with Azure DevOps to do everything that we need to do with this Git repo. Make sense? Git is just for version control. Version control is, let's say you have made some changes, okay, and then tomorrow you just want to go back to that particular change. So it is for that particular thing. Plus, it enables multiple things that you will just see right now. So here we will be using Azure DevOps as our solution, because we are building something for Azure, right? So we have to use Azure services. An alternative to Azure DevOps is GitHub, which is free of cost, and it is open source, first of all. And Azure DevOps is also free. I will just tell you how and why. So I will just show you the tutorial how you can just create your free account for Azure DevOps. So everything is free in Azure DevOps as well. And Azure DevOps is the solution that we use in the real world. You will hardly see people working with Azure and they will use GitHub. They do not do that. So they will be either using totally an open source framework. If they are using Azure products, 99.99% they'll be using DevOps as the Git solution. So what I will do, or you can say what Sahil will do, Sahil will create one GitHub repository, or you can say, sorry, Git repository inside this Azure DevOps. And then this is our source of truth, right? Then this Sahil will simply connect this particular Azure Data Factory to this Git. Simple. Make sense? What will be the advantage of this? Let me just tell you the advantage. So now my Azure Data Factory is connected with this Git. Okay. When we do that, we call our Azure Data Factory as ADF live mode. Okay. Simple. You need to remember these terms. Okay. First of all. So this is our ADF live mode. Makes sense. So this is our source of truth ADF. That means this is the data factory which is live, which anyone can see. Perfect. Perfect. Now what Sahil will do, Sahil will say, hey, this is our source of truth Azure Data Factory, and we do not need to make any changes in this particular live mode. Okay. Simple. Very good. Now what will happen? This Sahil will create something called as main branch. Okay. What is this thing? I will just tell you. Don't worry. Main branch. It can be main or master, because master was the word that we were using before. Main branch. Now, Git provides you a feature called as branches. So let's try to understand that quickly. So this is our Git. Okay. So what you can do, let's say we have multiple developers. Let's say we have this developer, we have another developer, and we have one more developer. Simple. Now let's say we want to work on any application, and it can be any application. Let's say any Python code we are working on, anything. So now if we want to work together, what we can do, instead of directly working on this application, we can create something called as branches. So I will create my own branch, or let's say Sahil will create its own branch, and this person will create his or her own branch, and this person will do the same, and they will just do the work in their own branches, and these branches are actually isolated branches. That means whatever change this person will make will not affect the changes that this person has made, and same with this person. This is called isolation. That means this branch, this developer is totally working on a different platform. This person is totally working on a different platform. This person, this developer is totally working on a different platform, but they are not working on a totally different platform. They are working in the isolated environments. Are you making sense out of this explanation? Makes sense, because see, we do not need to create conflicts between the developers. So that is where we use Git. So we use this fundamental principle of Git in our Azure Data Factory. Let's see how. So what I will do, or let's say what this Sahil will do. So this Sahil will create this main branch. Main branch means the main branch. As the name suggests, we will not touch this branch. No. Okay. So we will create this branch, let's say like this. Simple. Okay. So we have created this main branch. Okay. Now this main branch will never be touched by any developer. Why? Because this is the source of truth. Okay. This is equivalent to this live mode, but we do not touch live mode. So that is why we create a branch out of it. Make sense? And do not worry, when you will just see all of the code, you will just understand everything. First of all, try to understand the high level overview and concept. Okay, that's it. So this will create a branch. Now this branch will have all of your code that is sitting inside ADF. Wow. Yes. So let's say you have this Azure Data Factory. Azure Data Factory would have some, let's say, code. How? Because whatever we are doing inside Azure Data Factory, yes, we are using drag and drop, but actually it is code behind the scene. That is a common sense. So this code will be sitting here, this code. So let's say this code is here. Wow. This code is here. Make sense? And this code will be here in the main as well. That is why we have created a branch. So far so good. Very good. But when I will be creating a branch, because I am using UI, I will see this thing. Let's say this UI as it is. Simple. So this is my main. So now, because I have this main, now this particular ADF will be called as ADF main. Okay. Okay. ADF main. Okay. This is equivalent to the main branch. That means main ADF code branch that we have. Very good. That is why I always say fundamentals are very important. Here we are only discussing the fundamentals of Git. Okay. So this is your ADF main. So now what will happen? Your code is sitting in the main. Now let's say Sahil and any other developer. Let's say we have 3 developers. Simple. Okay. Now let's say this developer wants to make any changes to this main, which is a very common scenario. So now what this developer will do, developer will never touch this live mode. Never. So now we have one branch main. Should Sahil make the changes directly in this branch? Just think about it. The answer is no, because this is main. This is source of truth. This is just the replica of this live mode that we have in the main, right? So here what Sahil will do, Sahil will create a branch, his own dedicated branch like this from the main. Okay. Like this. Okay. So this is the branch which is for Sahil. Okay. Simple. Sahil will just work on this particular branch, and this branch is Sahil branch. You can say feature Sahil. Simple. We just call it as feature branch whenever you just create a feature. So this is feature Sahil. Simple. Okay, let's keep these 2 people aside. So we have this Sahil branch. Makes sense? Now this Sahil can literally work on this branch as much as he can. See, it can be as much as elongated. Oh, so let's say this Sahil has worked on some changes, and this Sahil has done some development, and he has just made some pipelines. Let's say 1. Okay. Let's say 1, and then he created one more pipeline, and then he added some, let's say, triggers in the pipelines. Okay. So there are 3 commits. Commit means you are saving your work basically in the repository. Simple. So there are 3 commits. Now when Sahil wants to just merge the changes into the main, then this Sahil will simply merge the changes like this. Let's say like this. Oh, like this. Simple. Now these changes are merged. Okay. And this branch will be keep on going. But here it's Sahil choice. He can just end this branch here as well. Let's say like this. Wow. Now all of these 3 changes will be committed here as well. Wow. Yes, that's how we work. And let's say now at the same time, there is one more developer. Okay. This developer's name is, let's say Rahul. Okay. Now let's say this Rahul also created one branch. Let's say like this. Let's say like this. So now what will happen? What was the name of this person? Rahul. Now let's say this Rahul also made, let's say, 4 to 5 changes. Okay. And now let's say the changes are like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Perfect. Now because this Rahul branch is a different branch, this Rahul branch will never create a conflict with this Sahil branch, because this Rahul is actually making changes in his own branch. And then what this Rahul can do? Rahul can also merge the code like this. Wow, simple. And we will see all of the changes here. That's how we just create our main branch. We just make changes in our main branch. Once everything is done, let's say our development is done and we are happy with our development. Now we want to, let's say, make these changes available in our live mode, because these changes are not available in live mode. Simple, because these are only available in main. Make sense? Then we do something called as publish. Okay. Then we'll simply do as publish. So let's say I want to publish my code and I am happy with the development, and I just want to now, let's say, publish. Simple. And publish will only take place from main branch because main branch is connected with the repo. Okay, very good. So this is the publish button. Now we need someone to hit the publish button. Okay, this is a standard CI/CD process that we follow, but I will also tell you the automated way of publishing of this thing as well in this video itself. But first of all, we need to learn simpler thing, then we can just go, we can just level up. Okay, because in the industry we have both the solutions, manual publish and automated publish, both. So what I will do, I will simply take this publish button and I will click here, or you can say any, let's say Sahil is the senior developer. Sahil will click on this publish button. So Sahil will simply click on this button. Let's say like this. Okay, someone will click on this button. Okay, click, and you can say manual for now, or let's say click, it's fine. So someone will click the publish button. Now what will happen, the moment we click on this publish button, or anyone click on this publish button, this publish button will actually make the changes available in our live mode. Oh, okay, it will immediately make the changes available in our live mode. Make sense? Immediately. Okay, but along with that, it will do one more thing. Okay, so it will be available immediately. So let's say changes, let me just correct it. Let's say changes will be available immediately. Simple. Now this is not the end, because this is our live mode for dev environment only. That makes sense. This is called continuous integration. But what about continuous delivery or continuous deployment? What about that thing? Because this is just continuous integration, right? The moment we hit the publish button, our changes are in the live mode. This is our dev environment. Now what will happen? Now the second part of the pipeline will come into the picture, CD part. So now when we just click the publish button, we get something called as ARM templates. Okay, so let's say we have the ARM templates, let's say like this. These are the ARM templates. What are these ARM templates? Remember, I just told you that whatever we do in the ADF is actually the code behind the scenes. So this is what? This is your ARM template. Oh really? Yeah, this is your ARM template. ARM template means in easy language, whatever you have done in the UI, we have created the code for that, because obviously everything is code, nothing is UI. UI is built on top of code. Simple. So this is the ARM template and it will generate these ARM templates. Okay. Now ARM template is actually called IAC, infrastructure as code. That means our entire infrastructure is computed in the form of code. The entire Azure Data Factory that we have in the dev environment is actually compressed in the form of code. Now just tell me one thing. If I want to deploy my changes into the, you can say QA environment or any other environment, what should I do? Simple question. What should I do? I should take these ARM templates, right? And I should deploy it into QA and deploy it to prod. Common sense. That's exactly we need to do. Now what we need to do, we need to take these ARM templates. Okay, we need to take these ARM templates. Let's say I will just take these ARM templates and I will deploy this thing to my QA. Let's say ADF Azure Data Factory, simple. And here, this is the data factory that I have for QA. Okay, simple. That's it. Yes, that's it. We just need to deploy these templates to our QA, because that's what we want. That's what we want. We have the changes in dev. We just need to deploy to QA. Simple. And then once the changes are deployed to QA, then we can just test it. We can just call our QA team. We can just call the business users as well, who can just verify the data is fine, whatever the test cases that you would have. Because there are two types of testing. One is obviously UAT, where users need to come and approve, user approval testing. And one is unit testing. We do not perform unit testing here because we have everything in the ARM templates. But here in the ADF, then we have to just see that if users are happy. So we will simply call users And if they are happy with the changes and if they have verified the data, whatever they just want to do, then they can just approve it here. If approved, okay, this is what is very important. If approved, then only we will go to prod. So we cannot directly deploy it to prod. We need to get the approval. So we have to apply an approval gate as well to deploy this to prod. So this is the entire infrastructure, and this entire part is your CI. Okay, let's say this thing. This is your CI, and perfect. This is your CI, and this is your basically continuous integration. Then you have CD part. I hope it makes sense. Nothing is complex. Everything is straightforward. And this is your CD part. Simple. I can also write it for you. So this is your CI, continuous integration, and this is your continuous delivery. Simple. This is your entire flow that we are going to master here in this particular masterclass. This is the entire architecture. Now, this particular CI part, here we are manually clicking the publish button for the, you can say, initial phase. But I will also show you how you can automate this step where we do not even need to click the publish button. But before jumping on that thing, you should know how to deal with the manual publish, because only then you will be able to see the ARM template. Only then you will be able to see how the branch is created and all of those things. Plus, in the industry, 50% of the solutions, yes, 50% of the solutions are still based on this manual publish button. I'm telling you this thing. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? So this is your entire architecture, and I hope it makes sense. Now let's actually create the resources for our demo. And now let's see how we can just work with this entire project. And we need to just follow an entire example. And in our example, what we will do, we will simply take the ADF in the dev mode, okay, live mode. And here we will simply add our storage account, our key vaults, and then we will deploy that to QA, same thing, and then to prod. And every pipeline, every changes should be there as well. So this is our, you can say, task that we need to do. Simple, very good. So first thing first, you would need to have one Azure account. So if you have Azure account, very well done. If you do not have, you can literally create one. Simply go to your browser and search Azure free account. And here you can just click on this link. And here you can just go with try Azure for free. If you have not used the free tier yet, you can click on try Azure for free, or you can click on pay as you go, which is the paid version of it, where you just pay for the resources that you use. Simple. So just quickly create the Azure account. It is very, very simple. You are trying to become a Azure Data Engineer, or you are already an Azure Data Engineer, you should know how to create a Azure free account. Simple. Okay, simply click here or click here, or you will get your free account. Simple. Very good. So now once you have your Azure free account, then you can simply go there by going to link, let's say, called portal.azure.com. What? Portal.azure.com, like this. Simple. Then it will take you to your home page, and this is your Azure portal homepage. In your case, it can look a little bit different, but it's fine because you would not see some resources here. You would see something else. It's totally fine. Simple. Good. So first thing first, we need to create a resource group. If you are new to Azure, you should know, like, why do we create Azure resources? If you are new, even if you're new, because it's very simple concept. We create resource groups so that we can just create a folder, a directory for our resources. Simple. So here what I will do, I will simply simulate the real world example. Here we'll be having resource groups for dev, QA and prod. That's how we manage the environment in the real world as well. Simple. So here I'll simply say create resource groups. You can click on plus sign or click on search bar and simply search resource groups. Click here. Here you will see a lot of resource groups. Simply ignore. Click on create, and we will create a new resource group, and I will just name it as ADF. Then let's say CI/CD. Then let's say dev. Simple, cool name. Okay. So we can just keep this our resource group, and let's say review plus create. Create. Perfect. So here I can go to create one more for my QA environment. and one for production. Click on create. Perfect. Let's create one more for prod. ADF CI/CD prod. Simple. So our all the three resource groups are created, and I can just search it here just to see all the three. So 2 will be deployed. Okay, QA is here. So prod will also be here very soon once it is deployed. Refresh. Yeah, all the three environments are here: dev, QA, and prod. Simple. Very good. So now what we need to do, we will configure the resources. So first thing first, I will click on this dev environment, dev resource group, and I will create a resource inside this. Click on create button, and I want to create data factory. Well done. And here I will create data factory and click on create. Simple. And here obviously you would need to provide the name. So ideally you should provide the name according to your environment. So I will simply say ADF storage and then dev. Most probably this name would be taken. So I can simply add my name Ansh, ADF storage Ansh. In the real world, we simply add the name of the project or name of the domain for which we are creating the project, industry. You can say your organization name, anything. Simple. Cool. So this is my name that I have just picked, and I can say v2, which is the modern version. Then do not click on git configuration because we will configure git later. Simple. Cool. Click on review plus create, and here I will click on just create button. Simple. This will deploy your ADF. Okay. And do you know what? When you just say deployment is in progress, you can even check what exactly being happened on this particular deployment. Click on refresh, you will see the steps. It is already deployed. Very good. And what exactly is deployed? You can click on inputs. You can click on outputs. You can click on template. This is the same template that we use to deploy the things. Okay. And I'm just giving you some hints beforehand. So this is the same thing that we use. Okay. This is the ARM template. And we can also access this template while going inside the ADF. Simple. Cool. So we have this particular thing in our resource group, and I can simply go to dev. So I have this data factory. The second thing I would need is storage account. So simply search storage and create one storage account, and we will create a data lake, not just a storage account. So simply pick the storage account name. Oh, wait. Oh, I see. So I just provided a name called storage to my data factory. Really? Yes. I thought I was just creating data lake. So we have ADF storage dev Ansh. It should be like ADF Ansh dev, not storage. Should I just rename it, or should we just keep it as it is? Okay, let's keep it as it is. It's not a big deal. Okay. Or just delete it. Let's keep a cool name. I can just edit it in the deployment as well, but then you will say, what is this ARM template? What is this thing? So how we can just do that? You can go to deployments and you can just check this deployment. You can just get the template. You can simply take this template. You can even deploy it from the UI, but that will be a little bit complex for you. So you can simply click on delete for now, or I can click on it. I can click on delete, and let's say delete. Instead of modifying the ARM template, I can simply create a new resource. It will hardly take a few seconds. So let's create data factory again. Data factory and this data factory, and click on create. So this time I just need to say ADF Ansh dev. Simple. Click on review plus create and click on create. Simple. So meanwhile it is deploying. I can quickly deploy my storage account. So I will say, where is my resource group? There's my resource group, CI/CD dev. And within this thing, because this is now being deployed. Okay, this is deployed. It will take a few seconds to come. Meanwhile, I can just create one more resource, which is storage account. Click on plus and then storage account. So this is my storage account. I will create a data lake. So I will just name this account as, let's say, storage Ansh dev. Similar to ADF Ansh dev, storage Ansh dev, whatever. Preferred type, I will simply say Azure Blob Storage or Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. I can say standard is fine. GRS is not required. We need LRS, locally redundant storage. Then we can say next. And this step is very important. Here we just need to make sure that hierarchical namespace is enabled. So we can just click here, check this box. Okay. If I go to previous, if I just take this one, they just removed one step. Earlier, like they used to automatically tick this box, but make sure this is like checked, because if it is not checked, then it will not create the data lake for you. Okay, and we need data lake. Enable hierarchical namespace. Now click on review plus create, and perfect, create. So our both the resources are now deployed. Very good. So now what I need to do, so meanwhile it is deploying this resource, I will add one more resource in my resource group, which is Azure Key Vault, because we need to handle secrets as well. So now this is also deployed. Okay, this is also deployed. Very good. So Key Vault, and let's wait. Perfect. So this data factory is here, storage account is here. Now let's create Key Vault. Key Vault, perfect. So this is our Key Vault service from Azure. Click on create, and let's provide a name. Let's say Key Vault Ansh Dev. Makes sense. Yep. And I just need to click on review plus create. That is fine. So this will create our Azure Key Vault as well. If you do not know about Azure Key Vault, we use Azure Key Vault to store our secrets, to store the passwords, to store any sensitive information that we do not want to hard code in our pipelines, and we want to use it obviously. So for that purpose, we use Key Vaults. Simple. Cool. Now the very important step. Now if you just observe, we have three services. What are those three services? The first thing is Azure Data Factory. Makes sense. We have storage account, which is Data Lake. Okay. We have one more thing, which is Key Vault. Okay. Now just tell me one thing. We need to talk to this Data Lake, and we need to talk to this Key Vault as well through our ADF. But tell me one thing, how my data factory will talk to Data Lake or to this Key Vault? How? Because Data Factory is a different resource, Key Vault is a different resource, Data Lake is a different resource, and each resource is restricted, each resource is protected, so no one can actually talk to these two things. Here comes the concept of access based control, or you can say not role based access control, RBAC, kind of RBAC, but I would just call it as access control. We need to provide access to our Azure Data Factory so that it can use Data Lake and it can use Key Vault as well. Yes, we need to provide that particular access. Otherwise, this Data Factory cannot access this Data Lake and this Key Vault. Oh, so we need to involve something called as access control. Simple. This access control. Basically some permissions. In simpler words, it would be like a kind of, you can say, permissions that you can just access this data. Okay. And how we do that, there are multiple ways. We can use access keys, we can use service principal, we can use managed identity as well, system assigned managed identity, which is the most recommended solution by Azure as well. So what will happen whenever we just create any resource in Azure, it creates one managed identity as well automatically for us. Okay, automatically. I will just show you, don't worry. So we have this managed identity, which is created by Azure. Okay, for this particular data factory, and it does that for all the resources. So here what I will do, I will simply provide the access to this managed identity. Okay. And obviously this managed identity is already attached to this Azure Data Factory. That way, this Azure Data Factory will be able to talk to any Data Lake or Key Vault. Wow. So let me just show you my managed identity. So if I just go to my resource group, and here I should just see all the three resources. Perfect. So here, if I just click on this ADF, somewhere on the left hand side, I should see the managed identity. It can be in the settings. Yes, in the settings, manage identities. So here is the system assigned managed identity, and this is the identity which is created by Azure. See, object ID. Very good. So this is not created by me. This is created by Azure. If I would have been created it, then it would go under user assigned, which is not a good practice. You should always use system assigned managed identity. Cool, simple. So this is my data factory managed identity. Now what I need, I will go inside this data lake and I will first of all go to containers and I will create a container and I will simply call it as, let's say, raw, and one more folder I will create. Yeah, let's say raw, simple. Raw container is fine. Now I will go to IAM access control and inside it I will add one role. Which one? This one, add role assignment. So I want to assign a role. Which role? It's called storage blob data contributor. Where is that? Yeah, here, storage blob data contributor. Click on this, then click on next. Then I want to assign this role to one of the managed identities. Click on select members, then select the name of the managed identity. And first you need to select the category. I will simply say data factory. And then I will just simply search by ADF Ansh, let's say dev. Okay, so this is the data factory I want to pick to assign the access. Simply say select, then review plus assign, then review plus assign, and that's it. Now what we have done, we have allowed our data factory to talk to the data lake. I hope it makes sense. So now I will simply do the same thing for ADF as well. But before that, we need to save some secrets, obviously. So click on this Key Vault and then click on this objects button. Then click on secrets. Here I want to create the secrets, right? But I also do not have access to this particular Key Vault because Key Vault is like double secured. Because you can access your data lake because you created it. But key vaults are even more secure. You cannot even access the key vaults by your account as well. Forget about data factory because it is saying this operation is not allowed by RBAC. If role assignments were recently changed, please wait several minutes for role assignments to become effective. And this happens when you just create the key vaults with traditional approach. Let me just show you. If you just go to access policies, okay, and here you will see that the access configuration for this key vault is set to role based access control. So whenever you just create the key vault with role based access control, it will throw you this particular thing for sure. So for that you would need to do just two things. First of all, go to IAM and here click on add assignment, because this time you first of all need to assign yourself as Azure Key Vault admin. Simply say Azure, or let's say Key Vault administrator. Yep, perfect. Click on this thing, then next, then select user, pick your account, click on select and review plus assign. Boom. Simple. So this will allow your account to make changes in the Key Vault, to create secrets at least, because you would need to create that. Okay. So what already exists? Okay. I think I just clicked on that button 2 times. Yeah. So it was, I think, applied. Here I can see Key Vault administrator. So I think it was like clicked and then I just clicked on one more time. So that is there. So now if I just go to secrets, I will not see that warning. I can now create any secret easily. Okay. But these secrets will not be easily available to access. Why? For that, you also need to enable that service. Simply go to settings, then go to access configuration. And here you do not need to pick this Azure role-based access control. Simply say Vault access policy. Why? Because then you will be able to make API calls to this particular Azure Key Vault using web activity in Azure Data Factory that we'll be using. Make sense? And then you can say apply, go to access policies. I don't think so we have accessible, simply say apply. It will simply do that. If we see any errors, we can just tweak anything. No need to worry at all. We have full control. Okay. So now all the resources are set and we can literally do whatever we want. Simple. So now what I will do, I will simply go to my data factory, which is this one. And here I can just open my data factory, click on launch studio. Perfect. So this will simply launch the studio, which is this one. And I hope you would have seen the studio. That is why you are just learning Azure Data Factory CI/CD. Okay. So first thing first, we need to attach this data factory to our, you can say, Git repository. Make sense? How do we do that? Click on this manage button and then you need to click on this Git configuration. Before clicking here, I can just show you ARM template. See, so whatever we have right now in this data factory is actually this code. You will say we do not have anything. We have this particular link services area. We have pipelines. Obviously we have nothing, but still it is something, right? So if I just click here, I can just simply export this template. You can click on export. It will download the folder for you. You can just go there and simply explore. That is the code written behind this entire UI. Not like the code for this UI, but the resources that you are using inside this UI. Okay, it will not give you HTML files. It will give you simply JSON files, which are nothing but just the infrastructure as code files, which is ARM template, Azure Resource Manager template. Simple, cool. So now I can simply say git configuration. Now I can configure one git, but for that I first need to have a git repository. And for that I will go to my Azure account, simply go to home button and simply search Azure DevOps. So Azure DevOps, click here. It will take you to this particular web page. If you do not have your Azure DevOps account, then what you need to do, simply click on, let's say, create account, and you can also search directly in the search bar, simply say Azure DevOps free account and sign up for Azure DevOps. Click here and you can simply click on free tier of service. Not this one. I don't know like why this Microsoft Edge does not give you better results with search engine. Create Azure free account. Like, this is one way of doing it, but the best way is the one that I'm just showing you. If you just create the Azure account within the Azure account, like within your Azure portal account, it is a better approach because you can simply connect your existing account with this one. So here I'm simply seeing view my organization because I already have one account. In your case, you would need to create a one account and you will see something called, let's say, start free trial or something like that. Click on that particular button. Then wait, it's not that simple. Wait. Once you click on that button, you need to put your email account. In most of the cases, it will be automatically filled with this account, this email that you have used for your Azure portal. If it is not, you should use the exact same email ID that you are using for your portal. Okay, the root user. Simple. Once you have that, it will show you to pick the, you can say, organization. Okay, then it will simply ask you to create your organization. Then on the left hand side, you will see one option called Microsoft account. You need to click on that drop down and you need to pick default directory because that's what is attached with your account. Make sense? You do not need to pick Microsoft account. Okay, there will be a small box on the left hand side where you just need to put your account. Just below that you will see this box. Simply click on that box and pick default directory. Make sense? And then click on create new organization, which will be on the right hand side. Simple. Simply do that and then you can just pick any name for your organization. It can be your name with some numbers, whatever. Then your organization will be created. Make sense? So now I can just also show you my organization. So here, as you can see, this will be the page that you will see for the first time. But once you create an organization, still you see this page. Now I already have one organization, still I am seeing this page. Why? Because this is Microsoft account. I need to click on this drop down and select default directory, and then I will see my organization that I already have. Yes, even after creating the organization, you have to do this step. Otherwise, what will happen? You will create the, you can say, your organization. Okay. Then if the next day you come and just log in again to access your organization, and you will not see that organization here, and you will see the option for create new organization. You will say that, hey, I have already created the organization. Why I'm seeing this thing? Because you have not picked default directory. Okay. So I have this organization. I can just pick this organization. And this is my Azure DevOps workspace where I just manage Git and all. Simple. Very good. If by any chance you didn't pick default directory and you just created something else, do not worry. Simply go to organization settings. And here I can just show you. This is the overview. And here I think there was a button maybe in the settings. Not in the settings. Wait, let's say in the overview. So it will just show you the URLs. Okay. And there was a button, there was a setting where you can also change the default directory. You can also, let's say, set the default directory. I think it should be in the settings. I can just go there again and scroll down. Let me just search that particular setting for you if in case you just have messed up with the setup. Oh yeah, I found it. So it was under Microsoft Entra. So click here and here you will see this directory. This organization is connected to this particular directory. In your case, if it is connected to Microsoft account, you can simply say disconnect directory and then you can connect it again with the default directory. Okay, if in case you just messed up, it's just an easy step, not a big deal. So very well done. So this will be the case for you. And here what you need to do, you simply need to create one project. So let's create a new project. Click on new project and here I will simply say, let's say ADF CICD, simple, and then I can say yeah, ADF CICD, and I can click on advanced and let's create a project for basic, or let's say agile. Yeah, agile is fine. And git is our version control, and then I can say okay. So this will create one project for me where I will have everything for my project. Obviously ADO is like a very advanced tool where we manage the project like Jira, but we developers do not work with that thing much. We majorly focus on these two areas, repos and pipelines. This is the heart of everything. Okay, in some cases if you just click on this pipelines, okay, you will not see all of the options. You will not see might be releases, you will not see deployment groups. Do you know why? Because releases are already outdated. No one uses releases yes today. It is even recommended by Azure as well that if you have some new CI/CD pipelines, do not use release pipelines, switch to YAML based pipeline, which is the industry standard now. So that is why in some cases you will not see this thing. I have specifically enabled this thing for you. You can also do that. Click on project settings and simply scroll down. You will see some options. It would be turned off for by default, but if you just want to keep it on, you can do that. But again, it is not required at all. Simple. Click on the pipelines. This is the thing that you should see. One thing is environments, second is library where we just create our all the variable groups, and third thing is pipelines. Simple. We do not need releases, task groups and deployment groups. It's not required. It's not recommended as well. Yes, we were using release pipelines for deployment, but from now onwards, not just from now onwards, from I would say last to last year onwards, people are already migrating their CI/CD pipelines to YAML, because release pipelines are not something that you can just maintain for the longer run. Simple. If you want to see, you can enable, but it is not required. So first thing first, I will go to this repos, and here I want to create one you can say git repo. By default I have this repository which is automatically created with the project, but I want to create a new one. Click on this drop down, click on new repository. Let's provide a new name. Let's say I want to provide a name called ADF CICD repo. Okay, and then I can keep one readme file so that it would have at least one commit. Then click on create. So this will create this repository, and what do we have inside this repository? Nothing. As you can see, this is empty. We just have one readme file because we created readme file while creating the repository. What branches do I have in this repository? Remember, by default we get one main branch. So if you go to branches, you will see only main branch here. Wow. Yes. So now let's see how we can just configure the Git within Data Factory. So now if I just click on this drop down, we just have one option, Data Factory, and that's it. There is no live mode, there is no main branch, there is nothing. So in order to do that, we first need to configure the Git with our Data Factory. So simply click on configure, and repository type will be Azure DevOps Git, and then click on continue. It will automatically fetch your default directory. Click on organization name, which is this one. Project name will be your project name. Repository will be the one that we have just created. And here we will be seeing some properties. This is very important. Collaboration branch. So this is the branch where we will be simply collaborating, the main branch that we saw in the architecture. Then the publish branch. This is very important because whenever we publish the changes, it publishes the changes only in a specific branch. It takes that branch to store all of the artifacts. Do not worry, it is very simple. You will see this when you will hit the publish button. Do not worry at all. And then this box is very, very important. So for this project, we are setting up the Git repository beforehand, which is a good practice. But in some cases, people just build something and then they forget to add the Git. So if you just simply say import, it will import the existing changes automatically. Makes sense? And then simply say apply, and this will make all of the changes in the Data Factory and it will set up the Git. and you will see it very, very soon. I think it is done. So now you can see it is automatically changed to main branch. If I click here, you will see this is the main branch, and there is one more branch, ADF publish branch, but I have zero access to that branch. Why? Because this is managed by Azure, not by me. Okay. Then I have live mode. What is live mode? Live mode is the mode which is accessible to everyone. Remember the architecture here, this one. So we have the live mode and we have the main branch. So we make changes from this main branch and merge the changes to this main branch. Simple. Good. So this is the live mode. That's why you are seeing this thing. So now if I want to perform any development, I will not make any changes directly to the main branch. I can, but I should not, right? I should create my own feature branch because there can be multiple developers, right? So in order to protect this main branch, I need to add one policy. How? Simply go to your DevOps, then go to your branches, then click on your branch and then click on these three dots. Click on branch policies. And then click on this require a minimum number of reviewers. Simply say 1 because I just have one person to review. Then say allow requesters because I can approve my own requests. Simply say that's it. So now what will happen? After this, there will be a branch policy. Now not everyone can just make the changes to this branch because we have attached one policy. Simple. This is very important when you want to protect your branch. Simple. The moment we connect our GitHub or basically our Git to this particular Azure Data Factory, now from now onwards, I can directly work from Data Factory. I do not need to worry about Git at all. See, let's say I am a developer and I want to make a change. I will simply say new branch and I will just name it, let's say feed Ansh. Okay, and then I want to just create a branch on top of this branch. Click on create. So now you will see feed Ansh branch is here. So now if I do anything here, if I just go to author tab, if I just want to, let's say, develop something, any pipeline, then I can literally perform anything and it will not create a conflict with any other branch. And if you will just go to your ADO and if you just go to branches, you will see one branch is automatically created. Why? Because it is synced, right, with the Data Factory. And what do we have in the files? You will see something. For now, we have this folder and this particular file. Who created it? No one. But this is the file which is attached and synced with our Data Factory. Oh, you can even click on this file. You will see this particular simple JSON with the, you can say, some common values that will be using location and all, system identity and all. Simple, but nothing much. Make sense? So this code is actually attached to this particular branch. Make sense? Very good. Ansh Lamba, there was one more branch called ADF publish. Where is that branch here? It is not created yet. It will get created when we will be publishing our code. Simple. So this is a very quick demo how we can just configure our Git with our Data Factory. Now let's try to build a pipeline, a very simple example, and then we will see how we can just deploy that. Simple. Let's see. So now let's try to create one pipeline and we will be just using almost all of the stuff that we just do in the real world. And before doing that, I just want to show you the data we are going to pull. So I have created one API, free public API, so that you can also work with it. So here I have one GitHub repo. Do not get confused because this GitHub repo is not for your particular Git management. This is just a kind of API which we are going to use to fetch the data. In the real world, it can be, let's say, Oracle API. It can be any kind of hosted server from where you have uploaded the files. It can be anything. Okay. In short, it can be anything. But because I wanted to use an API just to show you how you can just build the pipeline, I used GitHub to put my files. So here I have two files, bookings.csv and passengers.csv. Simple. So what I will do, I will make an API call to this particular source and I will fetch the data dynamically. Simple. Cool. And by the way, obviously we are not covering Azure Data Factory here. We are covering CI/CD part majorly. So if you want to learn Azure Data Factory, I have a different dedicated course on that. Simply search Azure Data Factory Ansh Lamba. You will get full end-to-end course. Okay. And I have, I think, two courses. One is beginners one, and the second one is pro course, Azure Data Factory Pro course, where you learn the advanced things. Okay, so you can just learn or cover both of the courses if you want to. Simple, cool. So let's try to create a pipeline. And obviously, if you're learning CI/CD, you would know how to build pipeline. So yeah, so new pipeline, and this is my canvas. And here I can quickly create one pipeline called copy activity. And if you are just in the Azure domain, you will know that whenever you want to copy the data from one source to a destination, we always need to create something called as linked service, which is a connection. So I will go here in the manage tab and I will create link services. I will go to plus, and this time I want to first of all create link service with my storage account so that I can just put everything there. I will say Data Lake Gen 2, continue, and here I can say ls ADLS. Okay, simple, ls ADLS. And here I want to use authentication time as system assigned managed identity. Remember, it is very important. So subscription is this one. Storage account name I can pick ADF Ansh storage. What was the name? I have so many accounts. I need to clean it. Okay, I will. So it was, I think, storage Ansh dev. Yes, storage Ansh dev. So this is my storage account name that I want to pick for my connection, right? So here I will simply say test connection. Once it is fine, then I can just move ahead because I am using system assigned managed identity. Make sure you are using this thing because you will see problems otherwise in the CI/CD pipeline. Use system assigned managed identity. I have repeated 3 times. Click on create. So this connection is here. Now click on plus new, and here you can say another connection that I want to make is with the, you can say HTTP here. Perfect, because whenever we want to fetch the data from the HTTP client, we have to make the connection with it. Simple. So I will say ls HTTP. Here I want to provide base URL. Why? Because I want to tell like which is the URL that I am just using as my source. Okay. So here I will go to my GitHub and I will only fetch the URL till github.com. Not really. Why? Let me tell you. So this is the URL for GitHub, right? But where is my data? My data is not in the github.com because when I click on this bookings.csv, this is my data. In order to fetch this data, I need to click on the raw as well. And then the URL that I get, this is my exact URL. So here I will copy this URL till .com, which will become raw.github usercontent.com. Simple. Very good. We do not need any kind of authentication because this is a public API and we do not need any kind of thing. But if we are using any, you can say, private API, any Oracle based API or any API, we use something called as passwords, right? See, so here usually whenever we are in the development environment or in the QA or in the prod, we never hard code the passwords. We always put Azure Key Vault as our solution, right? But because this is not password protected API, but still I will create one Azure Key Vault in this particular data factory so that we can simulate that production scenario that, hey, we want Azure Key Vault, right? And if we want to use Azure Key Vault, we should have the Azure Key Vault linked service in the Azure Data Factory. That's why you are seeing this option. I hope it makes sense. But because we do not need any kind of authentication, currently I'm picking anonymous, but do not worry. I will still create Azure Key Vault for you so that you can learn how to deploy that as well. Simple. So do not worry at all. Ansh Lamba will handle everything for you. Now let's try to test the connection. Perfect. Now click on create. So my 2 linked services are created. Now I want to create link service for Key Vault. Simply search Key Vault, click on continue. And here subscription is this one. Key Vault name is, I think, what was the Key Vault name that we just created? Key Vault Ansh dev. Yes. And system assigned managed identity. Yes, for sure. And here 2 secret, 2 linked service, test connection. Yeah, 2 linked service because we do not need to put the secret because we can store as much secrets as we want. Simply say test connection. Let's see if it works or not. Successful. Perfect. So we can say create. Simple. So now we have also created one linked service with the Key Vault so that you can also learn how to deploy this even if we are not using it. That's not the case, but we know that we can use it anywhere. Make sense? Very good. Very good. Now simply go to this copy activity. So this time I will simply configure it to load my data. But as you know that I have two files here and I do not like loading data, you can say statically. I do not like static pipelines. So I will be just creating a dynamic pipeline. How and why? Because we should create dynamic pipelines whenever possible. So I will simply run a loop called for each, and then here I need to pass the array. What kind of array? So if you just look at this copy data activity, I need to provide source, right? And I need to just provide the source data set. Very good. That means source path, source URL. So one parameter is this. Second parameter is what? Where I want to store the file in the data lake, right? So I need two parameters, right? And in the array, I will create the array of pair of two parameters. So for example, for this, first of all, for this file, then for the next file. Makes sense? So we can create one JSON file quickly because we need these two things. And what I can just do, I can literally create one, let's say JSON file, online editor. Let's use this one. Oh, let me just write text editor. They are simply giving me options for. So let me just create the file. So first of all, what I will do, I will simply create one JSON, or let's say array. And this array will have JSON, and this JSON will have first of all first object, which is you can say your URL, source URL, and source URL is this one, after.com, this thing, bookings.csv. So simply put this value here. This is just, you can say, best practices for production pipelines. Then what I want to do, I just want to say sync folder where I want to dump this data. Simple. It can be a different folder or it can be different file. Let's say different file. Let's say sync file. And here I will simply say that it will be bookings.csv. Simple. This is my first iteration. Then the second iteration I want same thing, but just the name is different. So this time it will become, I think, passengers.csv. Yeah. So this will also become passengers.csv. Very good. And I will just close this array. So this is my array that I want. Simple. So how I can just pass this array to this for loop? There are multiple ways. Whenever we are developing anything, we want to create parameters which are pipeline scoped. So I will simply click on this blank canvas and I will simply say parameters. Why? Because whenever we deploy any pipeline to prod, yes, in most of the scenarios, we fetch the parameters not from here, but from the data lake. That is true. But if you have built some pipelines where we need to perform some runtime modifications, for example, when we create pipelines for back propagation, or you can back propagation is like a very statistical word. Okay, let's say for backfilling, where you just want to run your pipelines for you can say late arrival data. You want to rerun your data, or you just want to, let's say, rerun your pipeline for a specific interval. These kinds of scenarios come under the criteria of backfilling. You simply need to backfill your data. So for those and one more scenario, incremental load. Sometimes we do not want to perform incremental load. We want to full load, right? So we developers need to take care of all of these scenarios within the runtime. We do not deploy those changes in prod. No, we run those changes on a special demand. Obviously, you cannot just backfill your data on a daily basis. You cannot, and you should not. So those scenarios should be covered here in the parameter. So I can say, let's say backfill flag, and by default I will simply provide, let's say, string, let's say it will be 0. Okay, or let's say no. It can be integer as well, it can be boolean as well, whatever. I can create one more, let's say incremental flag, simple, and I can say no. So when I will be just deploying everything within the prod, these will be same as it is in my dev, and it should be same. It should not be changed. But whenever we run the pipeline on demand, when we manually click the debug button in prod, on demand, on special demand, then we do not touch our code, we do not modify our code, we simply change the parameters during runtime, and that's it. That is called like creating a production ready pipeline, right? So I will also create some flags here, simple. And for the parameters that we want to use for this for each block, I can keep it here as well, but this is not a good practice because in production I have seen this, okay, in my personal development as well. We change these parameters a lot of times. Let's say every second week we will get a new request. Hey, could you please change this URL? Could you please add this URL? Could you please add this source as well? We cannot make changes every time in our code, and we cannot deploy the changes every time. So what we do, we simply store that file in our data lake. So I will simply go to data lake. So simply go to resources and pick your resource group, and here this is your storage account, and here in the containers you can create one more container called parameters, simple. And here I will create my file. Okay, so here I can just upload the file that I want to upload, and this is the same file, this one. So I have created one JSON file with this content. You can also create the file with the same content, and you can also obviously use my GitHub. I will just upload that file there as well, so not a big deal. So let me just click on upload, and I can dump the file here. Perfect, click on upload. So this is my file, params.json. I don't know why they have not like provided us one quick editor to create the file here. It would be like very easy for us directly to create files in Data Lake. I think we have one editor in the Storage Explorer application, but not in the portal. So click on this file. You can confirm the content of the file. Click on edit, and this is the edit button. So now what will happen? Let's say if I want to anytime want to change any content, instead of directly changing the code, I can change only the data lake file, and that is it. This should just do the work. Okay, and why it is saying this thing, I can, okay, or makes sense. Okay, I can just remove this you can say array symbols. It's fine, it will still work, because what will happen, it will simply say why you do not have those curly braces. So what I can do, I can literally do like this. Let's say add curly square brackets, and then I can store the entire thing within these curly braces, just to make sure this behaves like a normal JSON. That's it. And I can just pass one key. Key will be, let's say, params, and then I can define this colon just to behave it like a JSON. Simple. So this is now my JSON that I'll be just using. So this is my array inside this key called params, and this is closing here, and this is here. Okay, makes sense. Simple. So you can just do it like this as well. It makes it easy when you will be just referring this entire key within your, you can say, pipeline. Let's do it. So how we can just import that file that we have just created? It's very simple. So first of all, let me just deactivate both the activities. Deactivated, and by the way, this will go inside this. So simply click on deactivate. Perfect. So now there's a special activity called lookup, and this lookup activity will simply create the, or basically get the content of that file. So what I will do, I will simply say get parameters, simple, and click on settings. Source dataset, we do not have anything, and I will simply say plus new, and here I will create a new data set for this particular data lake. So I'll simply say ADLS Gen 2, or let's say data lake Gen 2. Click on continue. So what is the type of file that we have? It's JSON, right? Click on continue. Then name, I will say DS, and let's say I want to say parameters. Link service will remain the same. Here I can browse the file, and here I can say parameters, and this is my file. Simple. Click on OK. Perfect. And import schema, no. So simply say OK. So this is my file. Let's try to debug this particular pipeline just to see what do we get, because we would need to run this thing. See, when I just clicked on debug, I got the option to override the parameters. That's how we do in production as well, on a special demand. Remember this thing. So this is done, and this activity is running because these two are deactivated. So why I have just run this activity, I just want to see the output of this file, just to see the value. So see, this is the value, and value is the key that I'll be just using, and inside value key we have a list, see, and we use value of 0 That means the 0th index of the value key, and then we need to go inside params key. That's why I just defined this key so that we can easily go inside it. So if I want to use this key for this for each, what I can do, I can create a variable just for now, or directly use it. It's not a big deal. So I'll simply go here in the for each. So for each will say, bro, I will run your loop, but what is the array? Okay, so let's define the array. So let's say item count will be dynamic content, and I will just pull the content from this lookup activity. So I'll simply say get parameters value, and I will fetch only the 0th index, and then I will fetch my key, which is params, which is also a kind of array. So this activity, this expression will provide me. So this is the, you can say, function, and this will provide me that particular array that I want for this loop. Simple. Now I know that every time I will get this value that we just saw in the file. So first time I will get source URL for my source, and I will get sync file for writing the data. Correct? So now what we need to do, we need to create two data sets. First for source, where we will pull the data. Second is for file. Simple, but both will be parameterized. Okay, let's do it. So I will Control X, go inside this, and Control V. Simple. By the way, these are like very basic stuff that we are just covering in ADF just to create the pipeline, and let's finish it quickly because we need to focus more on CI/CD. So yeah, so let's go to source and source dataset. Let's create a new one, and let's say HTTP Data Lake, continue, and data is in the CSV format. Click continue. This will be, let's say, data sets source, linked service will be ls http. First row as header, not exactly. And here, instead of just hard coding relative URL, I want to use dynamic content. So I'll simply say advanced and open this data set. So this data set will be opened in the editor. Now the relative URL will come from the parameter itself. See, so I will create a parameter, and I will literally say URL, and I will not provide any default value. I will go to connection. Here I will just use the dynamic content. Simple. And I will use this parameter as my source. Perfect. This is my data set. Perfect. So here I can click on cancel, and I can just save this data set. Perfect. Okay. So this data set will be saved. So now go to pipeline. Now you will see it is asking for the URL. Yes, I know I want to provide this URL, but I am performing this copy activity inside this for each. So obviously every time we will get a new value for this URL because this is running inside the loop. Common sense. So here what I can do, again I'm repeating, all of these things are covered in my Azure Data Factory course. So simply go and learn from there if you haven't already. Okay. I have two courses, one very simple basic one from scratch, second is for advanced one. So now let's provide the value to the URL, and I will simply add the dynamic content again here. I'll simply say item. Item is the function that we use to get the iterated value, and inside the item I just want to get source URL. Remember this source URL? So I will simply get this key only. Fundamentals, fundamentals, and fundamentals. Very good. I will say okay. So now this URL will get the dynamic value every time. I will go to sync, and this time I will create a new data set, and I want to create data set for my data lake. Let's click on CSV, click on continue, and here let's say I want to create data set sync, and link service is ls. First row as header, not I can, yeah, let's see. And here I can just click on advanced, not advanced, let's say folder. I will go to raw, and that's it. Simply say okay. Right? But inside raw, I need to provide the file name, right? I can leave it empty, but it's a good practice that we should provide the file name as well. Otherwise, it will just keep on creating folders inside folders, which is not a good thing. So I'll simply say advanced, open this data set, and we will do the same thing that we have done with the URL. Simply go to parameters, create a new parameter, simply say file, and go to connection, file name, advanced content, file. Okay. Simple. So we have provided file name here as well dynamically. Save this. And once it is saved, now go here, simple, we have the file parameter. That's how we work with Data Factory. So here I will provide the dynamic content again using item, then dot sync. as I have it here. See, sync file, simple. Make sense? So this is my entire pipeline that I have created, and I think this is ready. I can save it. I think it will work fine, and I can go to my home button and I can go inside to activate this. I will go and activate it. I will go here and activate it. Perfect. So I can just run this pipeline. If it runs fine, then we can just deploy this, right? Excited? Very good. Simply say save. And here we have the pipeline ready, right? And we can also create a trigger just to run it on a daily basis. So here what I will do, I will simply debug it. And when I just debug it, so I will get the runtime parameters every time. So when we are in the production, we can literally run the pipelines on a schedule. We never run the pipelines manually, but we do run the pipelines when we want to perform some on-demand things. So there you can just change these flags. Let's say you want to backfill the data. You can simply say yes, and it will just do the work. If you just want to perform, let's say incremental flag, yes, whatever you just want to do, simply say in the runtime, simple. So these parameters will not be changed in QA or prod. These are not specific to environment. These are just runtime parameters, but the real parameters that we want to make sure that will be changed are here. Make sense? Very good. So let's say debug and let's say okay. Now let's wait if everything is fine. So I can see that one copy activity is done and the second is already running. So let's hope, okay, second is also done. So I think pipeline ran successfully in the first go. Very well done. Let's see if we got our data in the data lake. So I will simply go to my raw container. So this is my raw container and perfect. We have got both the files, bookings.csv, passengers.csv. Amazing. I can also check the data just to make sure everything is fine. Yeah, it's fine. Makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. Okay. So data is here and files are here and our pipeline is ready. So let me just add a trigger so that we can deploy our pipeline. So let's say manage, and I will go to triggers and I can create a trigger from here, or I can directly create a trigger from here as well. Let's say add trigger and new and edit. We do not have anything. So let's say new and let's provide a trigger. Let's say trigger daily. I want to just trigger this pipeline daily, schedule trigger, and start date will be, let's say, let's keep this 4:55 p.m. Yeah, let's keep it as it is. And recurrence, not exactly after 15 minutes. I want to say after every day. Simple. And that's it. So I just want to run this pipeline every day at this time. Okay, you can just do anything if you want, and I don't want to start trigger on creation. Simply say okay and make sure to publish. Yes, we know that. So simply say save. So now I will simply add this trigger. So this trigger is actually added. Oh really? Yeah. So you can just go here. This is my trigger. Obviously this is stopped because we have not published it yet, and we can also turn it on from here as well. It's not a big deal. Simple. So this is my pipeline. So now all of the changes are actually only in this branch and nothing is on the other branch. I can just show you. If I go to any other branch, let's say main branch, you will see nothing. See, zero pipelines. Wow. So everything is only here in my feature branch. That's amazing. Yes, all of the things are here. Even if I go to my ADO, okay, even if I go to my ADO, I will not see anything in the main branch. So now how I can just bring the changes in the main branch, because I do not have an option to publish the changes from the feature branch, and no one should have, because Azure makes sure that you will not publish your changes from the feature branch. We should only publish our changes from the main branch. Simple. So what we need to do, we need to create a pull request. Okay. So I will go in my Azure DevOps. I will go to branches just to show you. And these are my two branches. And in the main, we do not have anything. But if I just go to, let's say, other branch, which is feed Ansh, I will see a lot of things. Data set, factory, linked service, pipeline, trigger. Why? Because all of these things are in my feature branch. Wow. Yes. Makes sense. So now in order to create a pull request, I can go to, first of all, branches, and I have this particular, you can say, policy that we added just to protect the branch, because main branch to be protected. So what I can do, I can go to this main branch, and here I can say create pull request, or you can go to your feature branch and there you will see the create a pull request option. click on create a pull request, and here you will simply add the title. Let's say merge changes into main, simple. And here you can also confirm that feature Ansh branch will be merged into main branch, simple, very good. And reviewers will be, let's say, Ansh Lamba. Okay, perfect. And let's say create. So this pull request will be created. Now I am the owner of this particular project, so I will get the notification and I can just approve it right away. So I can simply say approve. Okay, perfect. So one reviewer approved. That means I am good to go to complete this thing. So if I say complete, I will simply say fast forward merge, which is the best merge. Then simply say complete merge. Now this will create or complete the pull request and it will bring the changes into my main branch. And this is already done. If I go to my dev, first of all, if I just refresh it, you will see the error. Why? Because whenever we just merge the changes from the feature branch into main branch, it simply destroys the feature branch because we do not need it anymore. Obviously, because if we want to add any new feature, we will again create a new feature branch. So if I say refresh, you will see that we do not have that branch, blah, 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 blah. See? Oh, and we know that. So I'll simply say use existing because I just want to use existing main branch. In the main branch, you will see this pipeline here. Wow, automatically, not automatically, we merged it. Okay. Now I will simply click on this publish button. Remember our architecture. We need to click on this publish button. Yes. Perfect. And still in the industry, we use this solution where we simply click on this publish button. And you know what? I feel like it's actually very convenient. You can simply confirm everything's running fine. Everything is good. Yeah. But again, now industry is just moving towards fully automated solution. So I'll just also show you how you can automate this as well. Do not worry. And before publishing this thing, I can show you that in my live mode, I have nothing. See, I have nothing because this live mode is actually the real mode. Now we will just publish the changes to the live mode. Very good. And you know, two things happen. First is ARM templates generation. Second thing is pushing to live mode, right? Very good. And I can just do that. Let's say Azure DevOps get, again, it will just bring us back to this particular main branch. Perfect. And I can also show the ARM template that it will generate for us. See, this is the thing. So when I hit on the publish button, it will literally click on this export button and it will download that ARM template inside the branch, special branch called ADF publish. Okay. And within that branch, you will see these templates. Oh, makes sense. So when you manually hit the export button, it will be downloaded on your local machine. And then you would need to upload it in the repo. So when we say ADF, when we say publish, when we click on this button, it will literally download this same template. This is the same template, export ARM template. This template will be uploaded in this branch, ADF publish, which is managed by Azure. And in that branch, we will have these ARM templates. Make sense? Make sense? And you can even compare, you can even download it. Both the templates will be exactly same. Okay. So let me click on publish because we are good to publish our data. So now it will say, are you sure you want to publish? Everything is fine. Yes, yes, yes. Everything is fine. Simply click on OK. And here it will deploy changes to live data factory. And now you will see another notification. Just look at it. Just to create the ARM templates. See, generating ARM templates and saving them in Git, right? Very good. This is also done. So let's explore what exactly happened. So if I go to my repo, if I go to my branches, this time I will see one more branch, ADF publish, because it created that branch, right? And if I open this branch, do you know, I will see this folder with the same name of my data factory, ADF Ansh dev. And within that folder, I have linked templates, global parameters. These are the folders that we use when we have a very big ARM template, but these two are not very important for now. The major things are these: ARM template factory, ARM template for factory, and ARM template parameters for factory. So in one file, you will see the entire development that we have done. See, this is the entire code that we have just generated through UI. Wow. And we refer to so many parameters inside this file. Really? Yes. we do that. Let me just open it for you. Click here. So these are the parameters. So if you would remember that we created some linked services, right? Azure Key Vault, linked services with Data Lake, linked service with you can say your GitHub. So these linked services and even the factory name, these linked services are only and only restricted for your dev environment. When you deploy this to prod, you need to override these parameters, which is the backbone of the entire CD pipeline. How to override these parameters within the YAML file, right? So now what we can do, we can literally automate first of all this step. So now we learned how to just generate this thing using UI, right? So we learned how to just click on this publish, we get this data and everything is fine. But now we want to automate this step because I want you to learn both the solutions, because both the solutions are in demand, plus the newer solution, the automated step, is like more in demand. So now let's learn how to generate these ARM templates automatically using a script, using you can say your CI pipeline. So we call it as like CI pipeline. Let's see how we can just do that. Okay, let's do it. So now let's talk about this automated step. And by the way, Microsoft has also put it in their documentation more recently. So if you will just scroll down on this documentation, you can also search it. You will see that they are also saying that this is the current CI/CD flow where we just put the manual step in our CI/CD framework. Then this is the new CI/CD flow where we use a special type of module. What is this special type of module? Basically, this is a kind of NPM package. If you are not familiar with NPM, NPM is basically the package that we just build with Node. So when we use this package within our CI/CD pipeline, we automatically extract the ARM template and we do not need to depend on that particular manual step. Simple. Okay. What exactly do we have inside this NPM package? You do not need to actually worry about, because this package is built by Microsoft, yes, and they are taking care of it, and you do not even need to maintain it. You just need to use this package, and this package looks like this. This is the command to use that package. Where is that? JSON. Yeah, see. So you just need to use this package called Azure Data Factory Utilities. So this is the package name. Simple. So this package we will be just using in our module. There are some things that we need to be very, very, very careful. And I would recommend, if you are learning this thing for the first time, just follow exactly what I am doing, because this is very, very error prone. Okay, error prone like in a positive way, because you need to be very sure about the location path, whatever you are providing. Okay, here we provide the root folder from where we are working. Here we also provide the factory ID. Here we are also providing a lot of information, and you will also understand what exactly CI, basically continuous integration pipeline, will do, because now we are automating our CI, which is continuous integration, right? So you will also learn how the agent works with CI. Yes, agent. It is not like AI agent. It is just like, you can say, Microsoft hosted agent that we should be familiar with. Okay, there are a lot of things that you need to learn, so buckle up. So this is the JSON. Perfect. So this documentation you do not need to worry about, because I will just explain everything. You just need to know this thing, that we will be just using this package. Simple. Good. Now, second thing, whenever you just want to work with, let me just open my ADO, this thing. So whenever you just want to work with your these automated jobs, you need to make sure that you have at least one agent. It is not again AI agent. Okay, this is the agent that we use for CI/CD workflows. Okay, by default, when you create one new ADO account, you do not get it. You have to request it. It is also available for free, but you have to explicitly ask for it. How you can just do that, let me just explain. So simply go on browser and search let's say Azure DevOps parallel job and hit enter, and here you will see maybe this documentation. What is this? This browser is like amazing. Let me just see if I can just find that link. Yeah, perfect. So this is that particular link. I will just provide it in my GitHub repo. Do not worry at all. So when I click on this link, it will open one, you can say, form. You have to fill this form, and the moment you hit the submit button, then only they will just provide one agent for you. You need to fill this form very carefully. Simply provide your name, like the name of your account, simple username. Email address should be exactly same as your Azure account. Now, what is the name of your DevOps or organization? Here you have to provide the Azure DevOps organization. You can just check the name of your DevOps organization. Simply go to your Azure DevOps and click on this home button and click on organization settings. And here you can just paste this URL. Do not just paste the name, also paste the URL. Simple. Obviously you need to put your URL. Okay. Simply put your URL, https dev and blah 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 blah. When you will be just putting that information, then you need to simply say, are you requesting parallelism increase for public or private project? Simply say private, because you are working on a private ADO project. Simply say submit. In most of the cases, this request will be approved in 24 to 48 hours. Some people do get an email for the confirmation, some do not, or I can say some obviously will get it, but some will also get it, but it won't appear that email in your main inbox. It might land in your spam or whatever. So you do not need to worry at all. You can manually check if you have that particular job. So simply go to your DevOps settings, home button, then organization settings, then simply scroll down and search parallel jobs. Here you should see this option, one parallel job up to 1800 minutes per month. So what they do, they simply provide you 1800 minutes every month, and they just you can say reset it every single month. Okay, so I have consumed 26 minutes for this month, but you can just use it up to 1800, not a big deal. For now you will just see 0, but when you request it, okay, after 24 to 48 hours, you just need to manually keep on checking. The moment you see free tier, that means you have that particular job available and you can literally use it. Make sense? In most of the cases, if you are learning CI/CD, I hope that you would have this job already available. So congratulations if you have that. If do not worry, you have the solution. Okay, I also requested it. They didn't give me like for free. I have to request it. Everyone needs to request it. Simple. Okay, so now I assume that you have this job. Now let's buckle up and now let's actually build our CI pipeline, automated CI pipeline. And yes, we have to follow all of the industry standards, all of the variables, parameterization, everything. So let's actually do that. Okay. So what's up, my fam? I hope you are learning a lot of things, and I just want to remind you that creating these end-to-end complete master classes and providing it for free takes a lot of efforts and hours. So if you are finding it helpful, simply hit the subscribe button, because your one subscribe button will actually means a lot to me. Okay. Happy learning. So first of all, you need to understand the very basics of Azure pipelines, like what exactly the Azure pipeline is. I know it is very easy to simply copy and paste the pipeline, simply run it, but you need to understand what exactly you are doing inside the pipeline. So let's actually try to unbox this particular, you can say, puzzle, and you will actually understand all of the things. So let's say you are now covering Azure pipeline, simple basics, at least the basics of Azure pipelines. So whenever I say that I just want to create an Azure pipeline, there are multiple ways. Okay, one of the best and recommended and industry adapted way is using YAML pipelines. What is YAML pipeline? YAML is nothing but a kind of file. So let's say this is my YAML file. Okay, what is so special in this YAML file? Okay, let's say this is YAML file. What is so special? YAML file format, first of all, stands for ain't another markup language, something like that. Okay, there are like multiple definitions for YAML, but the concept is very clear that we want to create something with declarative framework. We do not want to tell how, we just want to tell what. Okay, so whenever I want to create an Azure pipeline, I define something called as stages. So let's say this is my stage number 1. Perfect, this is my stage number 1. This is my stage number 2, and this is my stage number 3. So I define stages. What are stages? Stage means, you can say, one unit of work, or not one unit, I would say one goal. For one goal, we should have one stage. It can be build, it can be deployment, it can be validation, it can be anything. Usually Like obviously you have freedom to define stage for anything, but in the industry, we use stage for goal. If you have one goal, define it in a stage. Simple, define it in a stage. Once you have these, let's say this is your stage, stage and stage and stage. Perfect. So within the stage, we have something called as task. Let's say, let's expand it, not directly task, let's expand it first of all. So I have expanded this thing, okay, because you want to see what exactly we have inside this. So inside this stage, we have something called as job. Okay, job. Now what can be job? Because if we just want to achieve something, there are multiple jobs. Job 1, job 2, job 3, job 4. If you are a data engineer, you can treat it as like, let's say we want to ingest the data. So for ingesting the data, there can be multiple pipelines. So same analogy here. We want to achieve something. For example, here we want to build our pipeline, basically build our entire ARM template. That is a goal that you want to achieve. For that, we can have multiple steps, right? Those steps are actually what? Jobs. Simple. So within the stage, I will define now multiple jobs. Remember this hierarchy because this is very important. Okay, job. Now the good thing is you do not need to configure anything here. Why? Because you use a declarative framework, right? But still, in order to process those declarative things, we need a machine, right? Who will take care of that particular thing? Who? That's where the concept of agent comes into the picture, and this agent is not your AI agent. This agent is your CI/CD agent. So what we do whenever we create a job, we simply assign a kind of, let's say, agent. Okay, kind of agent, and this is the same agent that you have requested right now. Okay, so this is the agent. This agent will execute this job. Okay, so currently we are using, let's say, free one parallel job. Simple, but you can also use self-hosted agent as well. Okay, when we were just requesting that thing, you saw that particular thing, right? Self-hosted agent or your free agent. So we just use free agent. That means Microsoft will assign any virtual machine to us, and we can just use that machine to just do the work. That's it. Because we just need to run so many steps, so many jobs, so we can just use the machine provided by Microsoft. Simple. And it will be assigned from the shared pool. That means we have to just make sure that we are downloading the artifacts, whatever we are just processing here, because after the job, the agent will be dead. Agent will not be able to run anything after that. Okay, that is also fine. Inside the job, we have something called as tasks. Simple. This is the third level. So inside the job, we have tasks. What type of tasks? Small thing, just to run one command, just to do anything, small things, very small things. So let's say this is my task number 1 and this is my task number 2. Okay, simple. Task, and that's it. Yeah, that's it. Here we have task. Okay, task 1, task 2, task 3, all of these things. Make sense? And just for the technical language, we just call these things as steps. Just for the language, but it is actually a task, and that's it. Okay? Make sense? Steps. Because some people prefer writing multiple tasks under each step. Some people prefer writing only one task under each step. So it totally depends, but more or less, these are just the tasks. But when you just write multiple tasks inside step, it is also possible. Because see, in YAML pipelines, you have like full freedom to do whatever you want to do. That is the power of it. There are not many rules in the YAML. These are some basic definitions, basic structure, but the beauty is you can tweak it anytime, because you just need to run the commands and that's it. You can run it like with any style, Okay, so do not feel like you have to follow this entire hierarchy. Some people just simply skip task at all. Like they simply create the steps and that's it. So do not worry at all. This is like very high level architecture that I'm just showing you. Simple. Okay. So this is the architecture that you have seen. So now what happens whenever we just run any Azure pipeline, this Azure pipeline starts with a very basic step. We used to define this step manually, but now Azure provide this step as a default step because this is a common sense. So what will happen? We will have our GitHub, like Git repository, right? So we will attach one pipeline, let's say with this particular Git. You can attach, I think, many. Okay, it is not a big deal. So let's say this is my pipeline. Simple. Okay, cool. So I have attached this pipeline. So if it is attached with this particular GitHub repo or Git repo, so what it will do, the first step will be clone the entire GitHub repository into the machine, into this agent machine. And this agent we are using from the Microsoft and not ours. Simple. So this will clone this thing. Okay, this will clone it, this entire GitHub repository. Make sense? And once it is cloned, once it is cloned, then it will perform all of these things, stages, job, and blah blah blah. We used to define this checkout step manually, but it is not required now because Azure DevOps automatically takes care of that thing, that we do not need to perform any checkout. Simple. We perform checkouts if we are just working with cross branches, which is a kind of messy framework. But if you are just creating everything inside the main branch, it is fine. You do not need any kind of checkout and all. Simple. Make sense? Very good. So this is the high level architecture that I wanted you to first of all understand, because I want you to actually understand it, because it's not just about copy pasting the code. It's about understanding, first of all. Second, cracking the interviews. Okay. Third, after cracking the interviews, you need to perform these things as well, because those days are gone. You enter the job market and you just enter the organization and done. Now no one will just raise any questions. Now everything is like based on the performance. That's it. That's it. So I actually want you to know all of these things, and I want to help you. Simple. I hope it makes sense. Very good. So this is our task that we want to do. And first of all, stage. After stage, we have job, and job will be run by agent. After that, we have steps, and inside the steps, we have tasks. Clear? Okay. We just call these things as steps. Let's say like this. Okay. Let's say like this. I can just change the color of this. Let's say this one. I hope it makes sense. Simple. Okay. Cool. Just for the architecture. I hope it makes sense. These are steps, and inside the steps, we have tasks. But some people prefer it directly writing the steps and not tasks. So that's why I just created both the things. So I hope this is crystal clear. Okay, because this is very important. Now let's go to our Azure DevOps. Let's try to create our build pipeline. So I am here in my ADO repo, and as you can see that I am currently in my main branch, and I do not have anything other than obviously these assets that we will be using to create the build pipeline. Yes, we use all of these things. Okay, so first thing first, because we are creating pipeline, okay, because we are writing changes in the main pipeline, main branch, I don't want to create pull request for small changes. It will be like totally very irritating thing. So what I want to do, I simply want to go to branches, and I want to remove the branch policy. Simply go to branch policy, and if it was on, simply turn it off. Simply, just for this particular step. Once it is done, we will simply enable it again. Simple. Do not worry at all. So now there is no branch policy. That means we can make changes in the main branch, and we want to, okay, because we want to create the pipeline, and obviously we need to test everything before just actually making it live. So do not worry at all. We will simply make the changes in the main branch, okay, for the branch, because I don't want to create another branch and then do the things. So it's fine. So now I will go to repositories, and here I will first of all create one folder. Why folder? Why? Because I do not want to directly go here in the pipelines and want to create the pipeline. Why? Because when we do such thing, what Azure DevOps will do for me, it will literally write the pipeline here in the main branch root directory, which is not a good practice. We should always have a folder called cicd, and inside that pipeline, we should create our cicd pipeline. Simple. Very good. So I will create one folder and let's call that folder as cicd. And you have to provide a file name, otherwise it will not work because it cannot allow you to create the folder without any file. So here I will create a file called, let's say, cicd and pipeline dot YAML. Okay, YAML. You can also write YAML, both works. Okay, so I will simply say create. So I have this YAML. Okay, and now here I will write my code. But do you know what? How I want to create the structure of my pipeline. As you know that currently we are creating pipeline for CI. Yes. And after that, in the same pipeline, I also want to create, or I would also want to create CD. If we just add both the things in the same pipeline, it becomes a very huge file. And whenever you want to debug anything, it is actually a nightmare. So what we do, we keep the file separate, CI in the separate file, CD in the separate file, and we create one orchestration, you can say file, or just the parent file, let's say like this. Okay, and you simply connect both the files like this. This is a better approach for the production scenario. Simple. File is one. File is one. This is the main file, but this will simply import this file. Make sense? Make sense? Simply. Okay, very good. This is very similar when you just import Python files and all. Simple. So this CI/CD pipeline is my main parent pipeline. Here I will not directly write the main logic. Here I will only pull the file. So let's create the file that needs to be pulled. Simple. So now I will create one more file in the same directory, and let's click on cancel, discard, and oops, because I didn't save the file. Okay, not a big deal. Let me just quickly create one folder, cicd pipeline dot YAML. Okay, create. So here, let me just write something. Okay, so here I can simply say trigger, and I want to trigger this pipeline on main. I will just tell you, and I just want to say double N purposely. Do you know why? Because see, whatever I will be just doing here, it will literally trigger my pipeline whenever there is a change in the main pipeline. And currently I do not want to trigger it. I just want to test it first of all. So I'm simply creating a typo so that it does not trigger my pipeline automatically whenever there is a change. Okay, so this is a purposely produced error. So simply say commit and commit. Makes sense. So I have this pipeline. I will just populate this pipeline after some time, but first of all I need to prepare the main pipeline, which is build. So I'll simply say new and then file. Here I will just name it as, let's say, CI build. CI, let's say cancel. Okay, perfect. New file, CI build.yaml. Simple. CI build.yaml. This pipeline will hold the entire logic or the main logic. And first of all, I need to define what? If you remember the architecture, I define what? Stages, right? So here I will create stage. Not here. I will here only write the main logic. Makes sense? Main logic. And what is the main logic? Steps. See, that's why I just discussed about the architecture. Here, look at the architecture. What is the main thing? Steps. Main thing where we are actually doing the stuff. Steps. So here, what we need to do? Simply say steps. And what steps? Let me show you what steps. So here, we just need to use the documentation which is provided by Azure itself. And you can simply go here in the automated publishing for continuous integration and delivery. You can also go to the link, and here they have provided us the YAML file. Yes, so nice of them, but we do not need to use as it is because this is not very dynamic. This is not very modularized. We need to make a lot of changes, but the steps, this is the main thing. We can just take these things. Make sense? Okay, very good. So you can just refer to this particular YAML, and I'm just using the same one which is provided by Microsoft itself. So I'm not creating my own, but I have made some changes into this file. Why? Because you cannot just copy and paste the thing. You have to make the changes and you need to understand it. So now let me help you understand it. So first thing first, let me have some space. Perfect. So first thing first, you need to add steps. Make sense? But because I will be using some parameters in this particular build pipeline, so first of all I will create parameters. So let me just create parameters. So I will use parameters, and here let's say I want to create a parameter for data factory name, because we need to just provide the data factory name. So I'll simply say name and then data factory. Simple. This is the name of the parameter. I can also say type. What is the type? And let's say type is string. Then I want to create one more parameter, and this parameter name will be, let's say, resource group. Simple. And I want to say type is string again. I want to create one last parameter, which is subscription ID. Okay, subscription ID. And oh yeah, name is subscription ID. And type is string. In YAML, you have to make sure that indentation is correct. One extra space or one, you can say, preceding space can actually break the entire YAML pipeline, because in YAML we do not have any kind of semicolons and all to just tell about the next line and all. We have to make sure that we use right amount of spaces, tabs and everything. So just make sure that you use this kind of you can say your structure. Simple. So here parameters are defined. So here first of all I need to install one package called node. Why? I told you that in build pipeline we use a special package called node. Like the package name is obviously Data Factory module something. Let me just show you. So Data Factory package name is this one. Package name is this one, Azure Data Factory Utilities. I know that, but how I can just work with this thing? I need node. So first of all, I will install node in the machine where I'm working. And where I'm working currently? Where? I am working in this particular machine where I will run this pipeline, the agent itself. Because whenever we just work with agent, we get a simple empty machine that would not have anything installed. So first of all, let me just add a step to install the node. Everything is written in the documentation, so do not worry at all. So this is the task that I have just defined. Simple. So here what I'm saying, I'm simply saying that task is a use node. I can just show you. Task is use node 18.x. I have just provided one above version, which is 20. Let me just say 20, but let's say 18. It's fine. 18 also works. You will only see the warning. So this is the task number 1, that I want to install node on the machine of the agent where this CI/CD pipeline will run. Perfect. Now I need to just add the second step. What is the second step? I need to download the package. I need to install the package. And whenever we want to install the package, we define the package.json file, because only then it will install it. This is very similar to pip install requirements.txt file. But in Node, we simply say npm install and then install the package name. Simple. So here in the root of the project, in the root, not inside the folder, in the root, I would need to create a file which is called packages, I think, packages.json. Simply say create and stay. I think I first need to commit it so that we have the progress here. Perfect. So now I can just simply create the file, new file, packages.json. Packages or package, we will see. So this is the file, and inside that file we just need to write this code. I think the file name is package.json. Simple. So simply let's create that and let's rename it. Let's say cancel, discard, create a new file, and this file is the main file, package.json. Simple. Very good. So this is the thing that you have to write. What is this thing? Nothing but just a node module name, and that's it. Simply say commit and commit again. Now just go back to your pipeline again here in the CI build. Here when I say install, it will say okay, I will install. But where is the path of the file? Here comes this particular variable that we are using, which is called system variable, that is created by ADO. Build.repository.local path means this particular location, because when this agent machine will clone my repository, then when we use this variable build.repository.local path, that means we are talking about the very root of that machine where it has cloned the repo. Okay, that means this location. Make sense? So we just need to tell what is our working directory. We do not need to worry about where is our YAML file, not at all. We just need to tell what is a working directory. Why? Because agent will use these folders in order to create the ARM template. Oh, so we have to tell, hey, where is the working directory? Simple. Okay, what is the working directory? Simple. So simply provide this particular thing. Okay, then it will simply take this file and it will install it. It will literally install it. Okay, now we need to perform a step which is very important, which is called validate. Now this will validate our ARM template before actually creating it. Here, very important command is working directory, because we need to tell, if you just go to the documentation, here you will see for the valid step, we have to provide working directory as this one /folder of the package file.json. Tell me one thing, where do I have installed the package.json? In the root. Do I have any folder? No. So I will not provide any / or something. I have not provided it. Some people create a folder to store this package.json, but it is my recommendation to always store package.json in the root, because that's what we do with any node application. Simple, sorted? Very good. Then custom command. We need to run this command, run build validate, and then we need to provide this path where we have our package.json file. Simple. Very good. Where do we have that? Let me show you the documentation parallelly. So when we just run this command, run build, and this is that particular command, run build validate build repository.local path. Simple. That means the root. Then it is saying root folder from git configuration settings and ADF. Now it is asking for root folder. It is asking for what? Root folder. In our case, what is the root folder? Like where we have stored dataset, factory, linked service, pipeline, trigger, where? Nowhere in the same directory, in the root directory. Very good. But do you know what? Here we have to provide something. Even if we do not have anything, you can see there's a space here. So that is why we have to provide a space after /. This is the most important thing. Otherwise you will see the errors. Simply add space. Then we need to use subscriptions, and we are using here subscription ID parameter. See, and this parameter is coming from here. As you can see, subscription ID. Oh, because we do not want to hard code anything. That's why we created parameters. Simple. We can also create variables, but we do not want to create variables. Why? Because we are not running this pipeline. We will be running this pipeline, which is the parent pipeline. We will hand over the parameters to this particular child YAML pipeline. That's the entire goal of creating parameters. Okay, very good. And then we have resource group, and we just need to tell what is the name of the resource group. Simple. And at the end, we just need to provide the data factory name, which is again a parameter. Very good. So this will validate my ARM template. If the ARM template is good, then we need to actually build it. And this is the code for it. This is very much similar, and there will be like just one, you can say, command difference. Here we simply say run build validate. Here we say run build export. And we also provide the folder path at the end. Here you will see that I have provided ARM template as a folder name. So what will happen? It will simply package everything and it will dump that particular ARM template in the folder called ARM template. Oh, yes. And it will create ARM template at this location, like not in our Git, in the machine. Okay, let's say like this. Then, so remember, this will be our structure. All of these things will be there along with this folder. This is the newly created folder at this step. Now what will happen? After this folder is there, now As I just mentioned that this particular machine which will be running our code will be deleted and we cannot use that machine again. So what we need to do, we need to publish the artifacts, and we will simply say, hey, whatever you have in your machine, simply hand it over to us. Simply hand it over to us. So simply say publish the artifacts. So now what will happen, whenever we say we want to publish that artifacts, it has a lot of options. It has literally the entire repository to publish. But do we need the entire repository? We just need this folder, which is this one, ARM template. So I will simply say target path is this one. I will simply say, hey, just dump this particular folder, which is ARM template, and that's it. And provide a name called ARM template. Usually we keep the same name, but you can just pick the different name as well. It's fine. That's it. And publish location means pipeline. We just want to publish it in the pipeline. Simple. This is my code. Yes, I will simply say commit. Let's say like this. Wow. These are the steps I want to perform. See, here I have created only one step, and inside the step I have created the tasks 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then finally 5 tasks. Some people create 5 steps as well. It's possible. But I like creating tasks because it is much more convenient. Simple. Very good. Now what we need to do inside the Azure CI/CD pipeline? What exactly? In the CI/CD pipeline, where we have like trigger, because this is the main pipeline which will be running. Before creating anything here, we first need to create the environment variables. As you know that we need to deploy. We also need to deploy. Currently, we are only building it, but we also need to deploy the stuff to so many environments. So in that scenario, we need to make sure that our environment variables are there, because we do not hard code anything, right? So we will keep this pipeline as it is for now. We will simply go to this pipeline button and click on, you can say, I would go with not library, not environments. Let's say library. Yeah, library, variable group library. So here I will create the library. Simple. Very good. So here when I just go to library, what I can do, I can create variable group. We create variable group for each environment. Yes. So let's do it. So here I will say ADF dev. Simple. ADF dev. Or you can say dev group. Simple. And within this group, I can create variables. So first of all, I want to create variable for, I want to create variable called resource group. And I will simply provide the value as the name of my resource group. And the name of my resource group is, let me just check. So I have this resource group, and this is a name that I just want to provide. Simple. So perfect. And I want to create one more variable, and the value will be, let's say, storage, not for now, but we just need Data Factory. And the name will be this one, ADF Ansh dev. So that's how we manage our variables. We do not hard code anything in our CI/CD. We simply store our secrets here. The best thing is you can just secure everything here in the library group, or you can even store your secrets in the Azure Key Vault, and then you can just pull it from here. But in the industry, most of the time we only use and we only keep secrets here. It is better to manage here, and these are also fine. The last parameter or variable that I would need to create, resource group is there, Data Factory is there. I think there was one more parameter for subscription ID. Now, in order to fetch the subscription ID, you would need to go to home, go to search subscriptions. Okay. Then you will see something like that. Then simply copy the subscription ID, and that's it. Simply copy and paste. Cool. Okay. This is good. So now these variables are there. Wow. Now, first of all, let me just say, are you want to save changes? Yeah, let's say save. Perfect. Now we can just go to our pipeline, because now I will import these things. Okay. So let's go to CI/CD and let's click on CI/CD pipeline. Perfect. So now, first thing first, once we have trigger, second thing is we need to make sure that we have a pool. Which pool? the same pool that we just requested from Azure to provide. Okay, and I'll simply say pool, and here I can just pick any machine. Let's say I want to pick VM image. You can pick Windows latest as well. It is good, but I prefer like Ubuntu latest. Let's say Ubuntu latest, but it works with all of the types. Okay, so Ubuntu latest is good, VM image is good, so both are fine. And let me just use double space instead of tab, because that is the spacing that we are using. So simple. Now I will add one stage. Simple. But before defining the stage, I will load my variables. How can I just load my variables? How? So in order you want to load the, you can say variables, you should always load the variables inside the stage. Because what will happen when you load the variables outside the stage, it will be available throughout your CI/CD pipeline, throughout your script. But we never do that. We only load that particular variables in the stage, because when we do that, those variables will only be available inside that stage only. And when we do that, the advantage is you have the same variable names for all the environments. We do not want our variables to get mixed up with each other, right? So that is why I will first of all create my stage like this. Simple. Everything is in the documentation, do not worry. And inside this, I will load my, let's say, variables. Let's say variables. Now how I can just load the variable? Here I just need to tell the group, like which group do I have for my variables. Let me just check what is the name of it. So let me just check. I think it was group dev. I can just quickly see. Yeah, I think it was group dev. If we see any error, we can just correct it, don't worry. So now what will happen? All of the variables that we have defined in that group will be imported in this stage only. It will not be available in any other stage. Simple. Remember this step. This is very important. Now, do you know what? The last step, very simple. Now we just need to pull our job that we have created here. See, because we have the logic there, right? And here now I'm just going to write the job. So this job I want to perform inside this stage. Okay. What is the name of this job? Build ARM. Simple. Cool. And after this job, I just want to say display name. This is the name that will be displayed on the, you can say, console terminal. Then inside this, what steps I want to perform? I will not write it here. I have already written it here in the CI build YAML. So I will simply say, hey, I have a template. So simply pull that template. What is the location of the template? It is in the same folder. Some people keep these templates in a folder called templates. I do not want to keep it very, very complex. So I have simply written the file name directly. If you have a folder, then you can also write it like this. Let's say templates / something like this. Simple. Perfect. Because we have 3 parameters here in the build pipeline, we also need to provide, because how those parameters will be getting the values, we need to provide the parameter value as like this. Now, what is this thing? Data Factory, resource group, subscription ID. We do not have it here. We have. Remember, we loaded these variables. So when we loaded those variables are available in this script, and we can use it with this particular notation, $, braces, and the variable name. That is it. Literally, that is it. Now, if you say commit, okay. And I can also say now main, but let's keep it as it is, because I will just show you with manual trigger first of all. So this pipeline is ready. Yes, this is ready. Now, if you just check, this CI/CD is there. Now we need to build a pipeline using these scripts. So simply click on pipelines and click on create pipeline, and will not be saved. What changes do we have? Let's say leave. Okay, now just pick Azure repos git, because we have the git repository in Azure. So simply pick this one, pick your repository, and here simply pick existing Azure pipelines YAML, because you already have the YAML file. Pick this one, pick the location. Here you need to pick the main pipeline that will be triggered, not the build one, the main one. Let's say continue. That's it. Yes, literally that's it. Simply say, first of all, save. So if you just refresh it, go to pipelines, you will see this pipeline here. Wow. Now click on this pipeline and let's run this pipeline. Let's see what do we get. So simply say run pipeline and click on run. CI/CD pipeline, unexpected value, variables. Oh, let me just check what is wrong. So I think we have something wrong in the, let me just check which was the location. Okay, we have an error, but do not worry, we will just simply fix it. So let me just go to this file, CI/CD pipeline. So here we have variables. I think this is fine. Oh, I see. See, so this is again like YAML problem. So I know what is the issue. So as I just mentioned, that this stage, okay, this stage is actually holding these variables. So this hyphen sign means list item. So this entire is the first item. Okay, so I have to just ignore this hyphen, because if I just add hyphen, that becomes like my second item of the list, which is not true. This is the one stage in itself. So I think this was the issue. I hope so. Let's say commit, and now let's go to pipelines. Now let's say run pipeline. Now we have unexpected value, these things double, line 11 column 13. Okay, at line 11 we have something. Let's see. Okay, let's see line 11, line 11 13. I think group dev. I think this is fine. Let me just check the documentation, but I think this is also not in documentation. Let me just debug it. What can be? Oh, I found it. Variables, but yeah, what item of variables? So silly mistakes. So not a big deal at all. So now finally let's go to pipelines and let's say run this pipeline. Oh, finally it is running. So pipeline is not well, but variable group dev could not be found. Yeah, that is fine. I told you that group name can be different. We will simply fix it. I told you already. So name is dev group. Okay, I already told you. So now let's go to this thing. And by the way, bro, we are data engineers. We know how to fix errors. We see like thousands of errors on a daily basis. It's fine. Let's say dev group. Edit. Okay, commit and commit. Cool. Now fingers crossed, because bro, enough is enough. Now run the pipeline. It's enough. It's enough. Now it is running. Okay, finally. So as you can see, this is the pipeline. Just click on it and you will see the logs in the real time. For the first time, you would need to allow this thing. Simply go to view and permit and simply say permit. Okay, this is just like one time thing. Whenever you just create a new pipeline, you have to allow that it can just access the resources and all of these things. So now let's see. So all of these steps are here. First of all, it is checkout ADF CI/CD. This is a step. Remember, I told that it creates a clone. So this is that step. Okay, cloning the repo. Then installing the packages is done, and validate step is done. NPM done. Oh, all the greens in one go. I am very happy. So as you know, like what happened at each step. Let's start with this one. This is initialization. That means Azure DevOps assigned one, you can say empty virtual machine to us. Then it performed this step checkout automatically. I didn't define it in my pipeline, but still it performed because this is a common step. Okay, so it simply cloned my repo. As you can see, git version, git lfs version, git init, and after that it cloned my repo and branch name, everything was there, and then git remote add origin. It literally put everything here, as you can see. Okay, then it installed the packages here in the folder, then installed npm package, then first of all it installed node, obviously, then packages, then validate, then npm, then publish. Ansh, Lamba, this pipeline worked fine, but where is our ARM template? Click on the pipeline, click on this particular pipeline again, and then just look at this one artifact. That means we have one artifact. You can also click it here, click here, and this is my artifact. Expand it, you will see the entire ARM template that we have. Wow, this is the same folder that we would have got in our manual publish, but we get one more special thing. What is that one more special thing? This is called pre-post deployment script. And you know what? This is the backbone of deployment. Why? What is the script? This is not actually the backbone, because backbone is this one, ARM template, and this one. This is a kind of fix made by Azure. Okay, because I will just tell you why do we just use this script. But do you know what? When we just manually build this thing, we do not get this script. No, we have to write this script manually, or we have to download it and upload it manually. But here we get the script by default with this particular step, which is a good thing, right? Very good. And we have literally got everything that we needed, and this is the build automation step. Okay, sorted. So I hope now you got the idea. And you know what, because you understood how to just perform all of these things, now your cd step, which is the complex step, now it will become easy. Why? Because now your fundamentals are very, very clear. Okay, that's why I just wanted you to see first of all how build works, how you can just explore the build pipeline, and then you can obviously go to the cd pipeline. Make sense? Now let's see how we can just perform cd. So now let's try to actually understand the flow, what exactly we need to do now. Because when we publish the artifacts with publish button, which is the manual process, we get much more than that. But when we just deploy with just, you can say, automated step, we do not get all of the stuff. Let me just explain. So if you remember, according to this particular architecture, when we just publish it using our, you can say, manual publish button, our changes will be automatically deployed to this live mode. Make sense? But do you know what? When we just follow the automated way, it only generates these ARM templates and we need to deploy it to live mode. Oh, okay. Makes sense. So now our design will be, you can say, modified to some extent, not entirely, but yeah, which is the modern approach. So what I will do, so now what we need to do, we will be simply automating the step, because now there's no need of clicking here, right? So now what I can do, now I need to take these ARM templates, which is this one, and I need to deploy it to this particular live mode as well. Make sense? Make sense? So now this will be a further deployment to dev as well. So this is a very important thing that you need to consider, because what will happen, you will be just simply deploying your artifacts, your ARM template to multiple environments, but you would just forget to deploy the stuff to dev as well, which is required, right? So what I will do, I will simply take this data factory and I will deploy it to dev, which is my live mode as well. But for now, I'm simply calling it as, let's say, ADF dev environment. Simple, very good. This will also be automated. Everything is automated, by the way. And this is like immediately done. Then once it is deployed to dev, then I need to deploy to QA as well immediately, because that's what I want. Very good. So this will be my deployment further to QA. And let's call it as, let's say, ADF QA. But as I just mentioned that before deploying to prod, I need the approval from the users. Simple. So here what I will do, here I need to deploy it to prod, but not as it is. I will simply say if it is approved. If it is approved, so I will attach a kind of approval gate here, and I will just tell you how. Do not worry, but remember that we have to attach the approval gate. It can be users, business, whatever. Once they approve it, only then we will just take these changes forward. Approval gate. This approval gate is very important for prod, because that's what we do in our real world scenario as well. And now this is your CD part that we are just referring here. Make sense? It is very simple. Just, you can say, some changes that we have done. Okay, perfect. So this is our CI/CD new one, which is the modern approach. Simple. CD part is obviously same, but we just have added one more step to deploy it to dev, because this will not be automatically deployed. Cool. So now let's create our environments so that we have the QA environment ready and prod environment ready. So now I will simply go to my resource group, which is ADF QA, and now let's try to create the resources. Now I have seen this trend in some organizations that they even create the resources with CI/CD pipeline. I personally haven't seen this thing in my project. Second thing is, there is no use to add those resources in the CI/CD pipeline. The reason is because you just need to create project once and you run CI/CD pipelines almost, I would say, every single week. So that piece of code is of no use. Some people create separate CI/CD pipeline just for the one-time deployment, but I have seen in the industry, whenever we start any project, we configure our all of the environments, and any solution designer, or you can say any senior folk who configures your resources, will create all of the resources for you that you need for the data engineering. I hope it makes sense, but it is not a big deal. We can even deploy our resources with just, you can say, CI/CD pipeline as well. It's not a big deal. You can create one folder in the resources folder, like resources tab, and you can literally deploy it automatically. It will be there. So it's not a big deal at all. But in most of the cases, you will see that environment will be there for you, and we deploy the objects around it, or you can say code of that particular environment. Simple. So both of the approaches are there. We will simply follow the one that we are just using in the market right now. So let's say data factory, and let's create the data factory, and this is the data factory. So now let's try to pick a name similar to our dev data factory, because that is the standard. So I'll simply say ADF. What was the name of our, I think ADF Ansh dev, and here we can say QA. I can just clone it just to see the name of my resource group, because I just need to keep, okay, ADF Ansh dev. So this will become ADF Ansh QA. Very good. And then I can say review plus create. So this will be created. Cool. And create. Perfect. And here quickly I can just create the storage account as well in my QA. Let's say create storage account. So the storage account is also created. Now I just need to create this final thing, which is my key vault. And let's create quickly a key vault. So this key vault is also created, and now as you know that we need to allow Azure Data Factory to talk to key vault, Azure Data Factory to talk to data lake. So we can just perform that particular step now quickly. I'll simply go to QA, and I will simply go to storage account, then IAM, then assign the role, add role assignment, and let's quickly search for storage blob data contributor. Storage blob data contributor. Perfect. Next, and manage identity, select members, and data factory, and ADF Ansh QA. Perfect. Select, and that's it. And you just need to do the same step for key vault, so that key vault also has the access. So go to key vault, and first of all go to settings, access configuration, go to access policy, and click on apply, and then go to IAM, role assignment, and here simply say key vault administrator. Perfect. Next, manage identity, select members, and data factory, and here simply say ADF Ansh QA. Perfect. So our QA environment is set, and you just need to do the same thing for prod as well. Simply create all the three objects with these permissions. Same thing. Okay. Simply create your QA environment, prod environment, as we have created our QA environment. Simple. I hope, I assume that you would have created your prod environment as well by now. Very good. So that is it. So here let's try to talk about the very important component, which is pre and post script that we have got along with our deployment. And there's a reason that we have got that script. It is very important. Let's talk about it. Pre-post script. The script is only one. It sounds like they're like two scripts, pre and post script. Script is just one. We just change the parameters and we use it 2 times. Okay, cool. So what is this script? So this script is a kind of PowerShell script. Okay. And this script is also created by Azure, as I just mentioned, Azure or Microsoft. So what is this thing? So let's say this is my pre-post. Simple. So what will happen whenever we deploy any changes in the Azure Data Factory? Okay, let's say this is my ARM template that I'm just deploying, and this ARM template represents my data factory, right? Perfect. So when I just deploy this ARM template to my QA environment for my QA ADF, then what will happen? This will deploy the changes to QA. It's not a big deal at all. It will do that. But when we make any changes related to deletion of pipelines, so let's say we are only creating more and more pipelines, it's fine. But sometimes we also delete some pipelines and we promote those changes so that those pipelines which are not used by anyone, we can delete it, we can remove those pipelines. Very common scenario. So when we just do this thing, it is not possible with the current CI/CD architecture that we follow, because in ADF is a kind of complete infrastructure in itself. So it does not support deletion of objects. So for that, Azure, or you can say Microsoft, created this pre-post script that we can use while deploying our template. So what we need to do, instead of deploying only this ARM template, now we first need to run the script before ARM template, okay, before deployment and after deployment as well. And when you do this thing, then our changes will be intact in our ADF. So this is the entire structure that we follow. Yes, it is a kind of workaround to be honest, but this is the way that we do it. So we just use this pre-post. The good thing is they provide us the pre-post script. We do not need to write any PowerShell code, which is a good thing. Simple. But yes, we need to make sure that we run this pre-post script 2 times. Now you will say, Ansh, Lamba, do we need to run the same script before and after? Same script, but with a different flag. When we just run this script before ARM template, we just change one flag, one parameter, and when we just run this script after the deployment, we just change one parameter, and that's it. Script is yes exactly same, but parameters will change. Okay, so first thing first, now you know why do we get pre-post script along with our ARM template, okay, in the artifact. Okay, very good. Now let's actually start the work. And now what we need to do, we will simply go to our repos. And even before going to repos, I would like to go to my variable groups. So let's go to library. As you know that we have dev group available. Now we need to create one more variable group, and this time I will be creating one more group. But you know what, the best part, I can even clone this group. So I will simply click here and I will clone this, and I will go to library. Oh, I think I didn't save it. So let's say clone, and I will name it as, let's say, QA group, and I will just change the values here. Dev will become QA, this will become QA, subscription will remain same because we have the same subscription. So this is fine, perfect. So I can say save. So I have now variable group for QA as well. I can quickly create for prod as well. So let's say prod group, and let's say prod PD for prod, and same subscription, save. So we have both the, or you can say all the 3 environment groups that we need. Perfect. So our variable group is also created. Now the most important thing, whenever we deploy our resources to a different environment, we need a kind of service connection. Service connection is basically a kind of, you can say, connection that will be required. It is very similar how our Azure Data Factory talks to the storage account. We need a kind of connection, right? Similarly, our ADO also requires the permission to access the resources, to deploy the resources in the resource group, because ADO is actually a different kind of service. That's it. How we can just create that? It's very simple. Simply click on this project settings and scroll down and click on service connection. Currently, I do not have any service connection for this project. Usually we create 1 to 2 and that's it. And simply click on create service connection and pick Azure Resource Manager, then next. And here it will be just, so what it will do, it will create a service principal for me, which is also called as app registration in Azure automatically. Okay, and that app, that service principal will have all of the access to all of the resource groups that I will mention here. So it will do everything for me behind the scenes. I do not need to do anything. So I'll simply pick the subscription scope level. I will say subscription. Some people also pick management group, but I will say subscription level is fine. And then resource group, I can simply pick all resource groups. Yes, I'm giving more and more privileges to this service connection, because what I have seen, we create a kind of service connection and we use it in multiple projects. Why? Because we have a kind of expiry date for service connections, and it is a mess when you need to manage multiple service connection for each project, because it's a kind of such a operations headache. So what we follow, we simply create one service connection and we just provide the access to all of the resource groups. In some projects, I have seen that we also fine grain the, you can say, access if the projects are sensitive, obviously, because it depends from project to project. In that scenario, you can only pick one resource group, let's say ADF and let's say QA. So it will have the access to only this resource group. But Ansh, Lamba, we have three groups, dev, QA and prod. So in that scenario, what you can do, you can, let's say, first of all, pick only one resource group, okay? And then just provide a connection name. So I will simply say ADF service, or you can say ADF Azure service connection. Cool. So let's say grant access permission. Oh, it's fine. So simply say save. So this will just create my, so this is my ADF service connection application. If I just click on this manage app registration, I will see the service principal created for me in the Azure portal automatically. We do not need to create it. See, this is the service principal automatically created. If I need to create it manually, then I can just click on home button. I can click on this dots and then enter, and then I can click on app registrations. It is the same thing. It's not a big deal, but the benefit we get is we can just assign the roles and whatever that we just want to assign. So simply go to app registrations and you will see that thing, or in the all applications you will see that thing. Okay, cool. So what now I need to do, this is my service principal and it has access to only one resource group, right? And we need to provide access to two other resource groups, dev and prod. So what I can do, I can literally go to my resource group, let's say dev, and here what I will do, I will go to access control, and here I will provide add role assignment, and here I will provide access to, let's say, privileged administrator role. So I will simply say contributor. Owner is also fine, but let's say contributor. Then let's say next, and then I can pick my service principal from here. So the name was, I think, let me just check what was the name. This is the name. Not this one. Yeah, this one, this long name. So this is the name that I have, and I can just go to, where's my, yeah, here. So I can paste it here. So I will see my service principal. If I say select, now this service principal will have access to this resource group as well. That's how we just do all of these things. But if you just want to provide access to all of the resource groups, I would say you can just do that. It's like exactly same. Okay, so now what I will do, I will simply go to my ADO. Let me just close so many tabs. So I will simply click on edit, and here I will just change the resource groups from one resource group to all the resource groups. It's fine. Okay, simply say save. So I have just showed you both the ways. You can just pick whatever you want to do. So let's say for all resource groups, it's fine. Very good. So now our service connection is also ready. Now, if you would remember, when we just deployed our artifact in the, you can say, when we publish the artifact in the form of ARM template, we get two files. I can even show you in the repositories, because we have ADF publish branch where we have the similar thing, right? So here you would see we have two things. ARM template for factory, which is the ARM template itself. This is ARM template parameters for factory. These are the parameters that I just told you that we need to override, right? Because these are the parameters that we are referring for the development environment only. As you can see, Key Vault is for dev, storage account is for dev, and this is the, you can say, API, which is for dev, and it is like same for QA and prod, but let's assume like it will also be like different. So what if I do not change these things? So what will happen if I deploy my changes? So changes or pipelines will be deployed to QA, that is for sure. But as you know that we have storage account as well. So let's say data lake. So now this data lake is actually in the QA, right? Okay. Now, instead of this data factory pointing to this data lake, it would point to dev QA, or you can say dev data lake. Why? Because in the parameters file, you would see that we have the URL for this one, which is wrong. We should not do that. So in order to change this behavior, we override these parameters. Now there are multiple ways that how we can override these parameters. We can pass the arguments or parameters during the runtime of the task as well, but it is not a very handy task because when here you have just three linked services, so that's why you have just three parameters. What if you are building a very big project where you have 50 plus parameters, and you will have, it's not a big deal. So when you have so many parameters, it's not a very good practice to pass all the parameters while running the task or CLI task. It's not a good practice. You should instead create one JSON file similar to this, the same file like this, and you should override the path of the parameters file. Are you getting my point? So we will take the ARM template for sure, and obviously this file will also be there, but we will say do not use this file, use our file that is there in our repository. So we will create one parameters file as well. I hope it makes sense. Very good, because this is the key thing in deployment, because it's very easy to deploy the things, but in order to point them to the right things is the most important thing. That's why I took the end-to-end example where I have storage account, key vaults, and all of these things. Make sense? Good. So let's actually try to see all of these things together, and let's try to make some sense out of it. So here what I will do, I will go to my repositories and I will go to my main branch. And here I will continue building everything inside CI/CD. So what is the first thing I should create? I should create one folder called, let's say, I will, first of all, let me just copy that parameters. Let me just clone it. So let's say ADA publish. So here I will simply copy the content of it because I need to keep everything same, and I just need to change the value because parameter is automatically created like this. I cannot rename the parameter. And now let's go here. Let's create a folder for the parameters, and I will name it as, let's say, ARM params. Okay. And new file name will be, let's say, qa.json, because we will create each file for each environment. Let's say dev as well, because we need to deploy to dev as well. Now you will say, Ansh, Lamba, why to create a file for dev? We have already the file there. Because I just want to keep all the parameters at same place. Simple. Dev.json. And here I can paste the content. For dev, I do not need to change anything because these are the exact values I want to keep. And let's commit it. And now I will create a new file for QA. qa.json, then create. Then I will change the value. So here the data factory will become QA. This will become QA. This will become QA. And this is the same URL, but if you have any other URL for QA, you can just change it here as well. Commit. Perfect. And here I can simply say add one file for prod. So let's say file prod.json. Prod or PD. Let's keep PD because we were just using PD as our naming convention. Let's say PD. So simple PD, and let me just change the values. Let's say PD, and it depends like what name you have picked for your QA and prod, obviously, because you need to put the same names here. So I'll simply say PD. So my ARM parameters files are ready, right? So now what I can do, I can now finally create my QA deployment pipeline. So like we actually build our build pipeline. So similarly, now we also need to build our deploy pipeline similarly in the different way, like I'm keeping a separate file for that. Make sense? Very good. So now let's try to do that, and perfect. So now let's try to create one file. Let's say new. I'm not inside ARM parameters, inside CI/CD, and I will say cd deploy dot YAML. So first thing first, we need to create the parameters. So you already know how to create the parameters. So let me just quickly create the parameters like this. So here all the parameters are same, but I have added one more parameter, and you already know the reason, because we need to use you can say connection, service connection. I usually call it as, let's say, Azure Resource Manager connection, and this is the name that is also recommended in the documentation as well. And second thing, deployment YAML pipeline is not in the documentation, not at all. So do not try to search it. It is not there yet because it is a new thing, because people were using release pipelines, which is like old way, or you can say legacy way of doing that stuff. Azure is also recommending creating YAML pipelines, but yeah. So all of the things are here. Now second thing, or you can say main thing, now we need to follow the steps. So let me just write steps. So what steps I want to perform? First thing first, I know that I have the ARM template in the pipeline itself. What do you mean? So remember, we will be running the entire pipeline, CI and CD both, from this parent pipeline, right? And CI build.yaml pipeline will have my artifact, right? So I just need to download that artifact so that I can use it. So there is a step called download artifact, download pipeline artifact, so that I can just download the artifacts. Simple. So let me just add a task for that particular steps. So let me just add a comment. Yeah, so let's say download artifacts. So this is the task that I have. Make sense? This is the task that I have. So now what I will do, I can simply add one more thing. I want to show you this thing. If you have provided any other name to your CI build pipeline, remember I just provided the name called ARM template to my artifact. So I have to pick the same name. Why? Because how it would know like which artifact I am just using. So I am using this artifact called ARM template. Very good. And this is a target path where it will download my artifact. It will download the artifact in this particular folder called ARM template, which is a very common practice because I do not want to unpack my template in the root. Okay, makes sense. Very good. So now one simple question, what is this pipeline.workspace? So this is very similar to our, you can say, build. Remember that build dot this root directory that we just use in our CI build pipeline. So the rule of thumb is, yes, we have a small rule here. Whenever we want to refer to any data that we have in the Git repository, this Git, because this will be cloned in the agent machine, right? So we use that variable, which is called build dot source directory, whatever the variable name is. And if we want to download the artifact from the previous stage or previous step, and then we want to refer to the root of that step, then we simply write pipeline.workspace. Make sense? Rule of thumb. If you want to refer anything in the Git, in this Git, then build.source directory. Otherwise, if we are simply downloading something, then pipeline.workspace, because we just simply download the content from the previous step. I hope it makes sense. So our artifacts are downloaded. Now we can access it. Now that means I have the ARM templates, right? So what is the first thing I need to do? Remember the architecture. I need to run my pre-post script, right? And I have the pre-post script. If you remember, where is that? Yeah, I have the pre-post script, if you remember. So now let me just show you how you can just run the pre-post script. It is nothing but just a PowerShell task that we run. So this is a task called Azure PowerShell. If you just want to perform anything with PowerShell, you would know like it is very similar to Azure PowerShell, because PowerShell is like when hosted on Azure, it becomes Azure PowerShell. It is same as PowerShell. Okay. So what we are doing, we are simply stopping our current ADF triggers. Make sense? And here you would see one new thing, which is called Azure subscription. What is this Azure subscription? Here we do not need to put our subscription ID, not at all. Here we need to put the connection. I know it is like a little bit confusing, but it is what it is. So we have to write parameter.azure resource manager connection. Ansh Lamba, I have a question for you. In the previous CI build.yaml file, you used something like this. Let's say dollar and parameter name directly. Let's say Azure resource manager connection. But here you are using a different thing, dollar, curly braces, and parameters, dot, and this thing. Why? See, whenever we want, there are two types of, you can say, parameters, like parameters of one type, but let me just explain. So when we just work with other types of variables or parameters where we do not actually need to worry about you can say compile time variables. Then we can use that dollar sign for parameters as well. But this dollar sign is actually used for variables, ideally and logically. But we can use it with the parameters as well if those parameters are not executed during compile time. And this particular information, Azure subscription, will be executed during compile time. That means before runtime. That means we have to use this notation, which is the original format of using parameters, because this will be executed during the compile time. This is the only difference. So if you just want to follow only one approach, I would recommend just provide parameters with this notation and use variables with this notation. Simple. This is the rule of thumb. And I know that we are using here without curly braces. Do not worry, we will simply update it. We are just using parameter only at one place. That's it. Okay, we will simply update that as well, because that will become more easier for you to follow the notation. Simple. Very good. So this is it. And then we have Azure PowerShell version, latest version, script path, file path. Then script path is this. Now this is very important. It is asking, where is the script that I want to run? Where's the script? You know that script is inside this folder, ARM template, which is the artifact folder. And inside that we have the script, right? When people were not using, when Azure was not uploading the script along with the artifact, then at that time people were uploading the script in their Git, and then they were referring to this location, like mentioning the real location. But now we have the script available inside the artifact folder. Make sense? Very good. Now what we can do in the script arguments, I told you that we have some parameters and we need to override it. First thing is we need ARM template that we are just trying to deploy. The ARM template is this one, ARM template for factory.json. Now you will say, from where I have just got this file name? It is already there. If you just go to, let's say, repository, obviously it won't allow me to do that for now, but I will just show you. When you will just go to that particular ARM template folder, you will see this file with this name. Okay, this is not created by me, this is ARM template file name. Then parameters file, this is the most important thing. Now I told you that I do not want to use the parameters which are inside that template, right? So what I will do, I will use build.repository.local path. This is the path that I was just talking about. So now I am talking about this repository, and I want it to check inside cicd, and inside this I have ARM parameters, and inside that I have qa.json file. So I'm talking about this Git. Wow. And how it will just do that? Because this location is what? The cloned repository inside the agent machine. Make sense? Very good. Then we have resource group. Then we have data factory name, and that's it. And we just need to say true. That means this is a pre-deployment script. Okay, makes sense? Very good. So that means our pre-deployment is running fine. Obviously we'll test it. And now we need to run the deployment for main ARM template. Now in order to perform this task, there are two ways. The first way is using Azure CLI. Okay. And second one is using ARM task. So these are two CI/CD tasks that Azure provides. Azure CLI means you can literally perform anything with CLI, because CLI is CLI. But with ARM tasks, we can literally deploy the ARMs easily. So you can follow either approach. I would recommend following ARM task. There's a reason behind it. I'm not a big fan of ARM task, first of all, because I prefer writing my own CLI commands, whatever I want to deploy. But because we are using these pre and post scripts, these are made, or these are more compatible with this type of task, which is ARM task. If you will just try to run with Azure CLI, it can run fine, but sometimes I see errors during the post deployment script. And when I was just exploring a lot of stuff at that time, then I got to know, like, this is like more prescribed for ARMs related tasks, because this is built like that. And obviously pre-post script is not in our hand. This is like Microsoft given, but I use CLI task for most of my other kind of deployment, but I use ARM task especially for ADF. I hope it makes sense. Very good. So now what I will do, I will simply provide you with the deployment task. It's very easy. one of the simplest way. So here I'm simply using this task, Azure Resource Manager template deployment @3. So now what we need to do, first of all, we need to provide the information as again the connection, because it needs connection. Okay, then subscription ID, same thing, nothing fancy. And this is very important, CSM file. It is asking where I have the ARM template. ARM template is inside the artifact, and parameter file is in my GitHub repository. Simple. And deployment mode is very important, incremental. Do not pick complete, because what is the difference between incremental and complete? When you pick incremental, that means your resource group can have more and more resources as well, right? So it will not delete those resources. But if you pick complete, it will literally delete those resources if those resources are not in your CI/CD pipeline. Okay, so always pick incremental, and it is the recommended way as well. And then once we have deployed our pieces, then what we need to do, post deployment script. So I will literally copy and paste the same thing, but I will change the parameters like that. So this is the same script, you can even compare, but only this is reversed. Pre-deployment means false, that means it is a post deployment, and delete deployment means true. That is it. That is it. So now we have literally the entire CD pipeline ready. Yes, that is it. Let me just commit. And now we just need to make some changes in our parent pipeline, because now we need to add a stage for our deployment as well, right? Because we didn't have that particular stage before, because we were just working more with the build pipeline. So now let's see what exactly we need to add. There's a very simple task, and as you know that we do not need any kind of approval gate for my QA. So I will not add any approval gate for QA, but I will add an approval gate for prod. Okay, very good. So first of all, let's try to deploy the stuff without approval gate. So I will say edit, and here I will add one step, which is deploy to QA. And similarly, I will say deploy to dev as well. Okay, yeah, deploy to dev as well. So this will become my dev, and you know the reason, because we do not get the things in dev automatically. Okay, but here we need to make sure that we do what exactly we're doing. So this is stage 1, deploy to dev, right? So this depends on build ARM template. Why? Because it will first build the template, then only it will deploy it. Makes sense? Simple. Very good. Then this is a display name. This is the variable group that we have created. Fine. Then the most important thing, where is my template? Template is here, cd deploy.yaml. Wow, that is the advantage of the real advantage of creating the template like this. Why? Because I need to deploy similar stuff to dev, QA and prod. So instead of writing the same code again and again, now I'm simply referring like this. And obviously we have some parameters, and I will just change the parameter name like this, Data Factory, subscription ID and resource group. And you already know how we are just getting this information from the dev group. This is the industry standard. Why do we just create like this? And I love this particular arrangement. You can rewrite the code, but that is not the way you should do. Okay, then I will say deploy to QA. I do not need to change anything, because I am simply passing the parameters. This is the power of making code modularized, and I am a big fan of modularized coding. You do not need to just write the same stuff again and again, simply refer it. So this is my deployment. Okay, now what exactly I can do, I can literally test it. If everything goes well, then we will see the stuff deployed in QA. We will confirm everything, and then finally we will add an approval gate for prod, and we will see how to do that, because there are like some steps involved in that. So let's say commit. Let's say commit. And now if we just go to our pipelines, and if we just, let's say, click on run, let's say 3 dots and run pipeline, and I will say run. The pipeline is not valid. Very good. So it is saying connected ARM references connection could not be found. Very good. So I know what is the issue. So if you just go to repos, because in pipeline you will not be able to edit it. So in the CI/CD, if you just see the CI/CD pipeline, we need to pass something called as resource manager connection. I think I just provided the wrong name. It is not ADF service connection. It is ADF Azure service connection, like this. And this is the service connection that we have created. Now I would recommend to pass the name itself instead of passing ID, because whenever we just pass the ID, it doesn't work. You simply need to pass the ID or name, like what is the name of our service connection that we created. Remember, we created in the project settings. Now simply say commit. Now I think it should work. Pipelines, just go here, run pipeline. No, still. So now it is saying the service connection does not exist. What is the name of it? Let me just check. I think the name is different. Service connection. Oh, I am just using, I think, hyphen. Why am I using hyphen? I do not like hyphens. So let's change it. Not a big deal. So here I will go to deploy or not deploy, CI/CD pipeline. Edit. And here I can just change it like this. Oops. And you can even use double quotes as well. It's fine because in YAML, we do not need to explicitly add double quotes. It automatically adds it. So do not feel like we need to just put double quotes. Sometimes we do it if we have special characters. So let's say commit, and I will simply go to my pipelines. Finally, let's see if it works. Run pipeline. I think so. Ooh, yes. So currently it is deploying parallelly to dev and QA. That's what I want, because dev will be exactly same and QA will be exactly same. And then I will just branch out one thing from QA for prod, right? So let's click here. Let's see what do we get. So currently it is just building my template. Cool, cool, cool. And fingers crossed if everything is fine. Okay, one artifact produced. So this is artifact that we can just see as well, but we have already explored, so it's fine. So this is post job checkout. That is fine. Okay, this is done. Build step is done. And now let's explore this one, deploy to dev. So currently this job is a new job. That is why it will be assigned a new thing, basically new agent, and then it will just simply start everything fresh. So let's wait. Oh yeah, first I think obviously I need to approve. So I can simply go back to pipelines and go here, and permission denied. Obviously I need to allow for the first time. Permit, and for QA as well. And I can say view and permit. Simple. So now let's wait. Let's see what happens. So it is currently deploying to dev. And if I go here, not started, obviously, because we just have one agent. So it's not actually parallel, but yeah, it's fine. We do not need to create more agents. So currently it has downloaded the artifacts, which is a good thing. So currently it is stopping the ADF triggers. If there are any ADF triggers running, because that pre-post script, remember, we simply run the pre-script and then post-script. Pre-script will stop all of the ADF triggers, and post-script will delete the artifacts, plus it will also resume the triggers which would be running. Otherwise it will not touch it. So okay, it failed. Deploy ADF ARM template. Let's see the error. The resource ADF Ansh QA under resource group. Oh, I see the issue. I see the issue. So currently it is saying it does not find ADF Ansh QA under resource group dev. Obviously it won't find that because that is a dev resource group. So I think something is wrong with my pipeline. And bro, you should just stop running, because okay, we'll just stop it again. It's not a big deal. Let's say cancel. Yeah, let's say cancel. So I think something is wrong with the names that we have used, but not a big deal. Let's try to fix it. Deploy. So it was saying that we do not have the resource. Okay, resource. Oh, I think we know the issue. Issue is not in the pipeline. It is in the variable group, because we simply cloned the resource groups. Maybe we didn't change it nicely. So this is dev group. It's fine. In the QA group, it was complaining about the resource group. Okay, so why it is looking for resource group in dev? Resource group ADF CI CD. So this resource group is fine in the QA. Makes sense. Let me now just check the repo and CI CD deploy, and let's try to see resource group. So this is resource group. Okay, so this is a parameter that it will get. Okay, so that means something is wrong in the CI CD parent pipeline. And here I have resource group dev group. Oh, see, I'm importing dev group 2 times, and I should not import dev group here. I should import QA group. So this is my this is fine. No, this is fine. This is fine, because this is dev. It should deploy to. Oh, I see. I think we didn't clone it very well. Deploy to dev first of all, let's say. And oh, so it failed at dev step and it was referring to the ADF QA in dev, and it should refer to ADF dev instead of that thing. Okay, so dev group is this one. Dev group is this one. Data factory is this. Let me just check. Let me first of all commit it. There's, I think, a very simple typo, I'm so sure. And let's try to fix it. So let's say service connections, not service connection, pipelines, library, and dev group. This is dev. Okay, let me just try to debug it. Let's see what is the issue. I think I found the issue. So let me just show you. Again, I just told you that it would be a typo. So if I just go to my CI/CD pipeline, or not just CI/CD pipeline, where we are referring to these parameters file. So if you will just go to cd deploy, and here you will see that, see here I'm just referring to qa.json. I'm hard coding this particular thing. Oh, so every time it will only look for qa.json, and I do not want that. I want this to look dynamically, right? I want it to look dynamically. So here in this particular thing, what we can do, we can create one more parameter for environment. Okay, because every time it is looking for qa.json and it will try to deploy everything for QA, right? So typo, it's fine. Name, and let's call it as environment. Environment, yeah. And let's say type string, and here we will refer to this environment from this particular location. So instead of hard coding it, I will simply say $, and let's use the curly braces, and then I can say parameters dot environment, like this. Makes sense? So parameters dot environment. Now it will look for that environment that I will pass during the deployment, and I need to save this particular thing in all the 3 tasks. So this is the, I think, pre-task, then this is the post task, like this, and again this is the post task. Perfect. I think this was the issue. Let's say commit, and in our CI/CD pipeline, this one, we would need to provide one more parameter here. So deploy to QA, and this will become environment. In environment, and I can say this is dev, so I can say dev, let's say like this. Yeah, that makes sense, dev, and here I can do it for QA as well. Let's say QA, simple. Let's say commit, let's go to pipelines, click here, run pipeline, and run. Now let's see what will happen. Okay, that's how we debug the things, and that's how we solve the issues. Simple. So here I can see that it has made some progress, and so far so good. Deploy to dev is done. Okay, let's wait for QA, and it should just start the QA as well. Perfect. So deploy to dev is solved. That means everything was fine, and we can obviously confirm it, so do not need to worry. So QA has nothing in the environment, so this will be a very quick test for QA. We should see the stuff, we should see the pipelines, and we should see everything fine. The major test for me is my data factory should point to the right related resources like Data Lake, Key Vault, and all of these things. This is the biggest test for me. Otherwise, I don't think so. Deploying pipeline code is a big deal because ARM template will do that work. So let's hope for the best. Let's see, because this is the hard work of the entire session. So let's see. Start ADF triggers, and do not worry at all. I will just provide all of these YAML pipelines at all, everything. So do not need to worry. So start ADF triggers. This is also running fine. So far so good. Let's wait. And it will take, some seconds, because it will start ADF triggers. It will start only those triggers which were in the on state. It will not just simply turn on all the triggers. So let's see. Okay, this is also done. So our deployment is done. Okay, now let's go to our Azure. Let's refresh. Let's try to open QA environment. Let's say launch studio, and we should see pipelines. Okay, with right pointing. Perfect. I have the pipeline. Woo! Our code is deployed successfully, but the main thing, manage. I will go to my linked services. Fingers crossed, this linked service should point to the QA data lake and not to dev data lake. So let's see. Boom. Yes, it is pointing to QA data lake. Same with Key Vault. Let's see. Key Vault is also QA. So everything is cool. And we can even test it if you want to. Click on test connection. It should work. Perfect. And this data lake should also perform nicely. And system assign manage identity is this one. I can even run the pipeline. This should behave everything fine, because obviously we should just run the pipeline just to make sure everything is fine. So we can just run the pipeline. This is in the queued state. So now our deployment to QA is done. Meanwhile it is running. I can just show you the progress. So our code is deployed to QA. Good. And now we need to create the CD pipeline for prod, and for that we need to attach approval gate, which is the best thing about prod deployment, because I do not want to directly deploy everything to prod. I need approval, I need some testing, I need everything. Okay, so this is failed. Why? Let's see the error. Let's see the error. Storage operation not found, account storage Ansh QA, invalid status code, parameter. Oh, makes sense, because we do not have any kind of parameters or params.json file. We didn't create that file, which is missing step. Let me just do that because it was not created earlier. So yeah, so let's say storage Ansh QA, and because whenever you just submit the change request, we mention like what exactly we need to attach. We can also create a CLI task for attaching the parameters file, but we have seen this as issue. We should never attach the files as a CLI task, because sometimes some developers make some like massive mistakes in the parameters file and it literally break the prod just because few parameters. So like I have also seen only the senior developer will double check the parameters file, because parameters file is the backbone of all of the things that we do. Make sense? So here as well, I can just literally upload the data manually, like the parameters file, params.json file like this. And let's create the container first of all. Parameters. Perfect. And perfect. Let me just upload the file. And let's do this. Params. Perfect. And here I can quickly create one more container for my raw, which is not actually required, but still, let's say create raw. Perfect. Now let's try to rerun this. Let's say debug, and that's it. So again, yeah, you have the liberty to add this data automatically, but this is as per like picking the one thing over other. This is like a kind of choosing automation over security. So I choose security over automation, because you can literally promote anything that developer has done in dev, and parameters file is one of the most important files that you should never deploy automatically. Again, it is failed. What do you want, bro? I see the issue. I uploaded the wrong file. I didn't upload the JSON file. I uploaded the text file. So let me just download this file. Okay, let me just upload this file. I uploaded the wrong file. Okay, the change agent uploaded the wrong file. Do not worry. Developers are happy. Developers are good. Developers are fine. So it's fine. It's fine. So let's say storage upload. Then containers. Nothing is wrong on the CI/CD part. First of all, okay. So this is text file instead of JSON. Now I can just upload the new file, which is parameters.json. Simple. Perfect. Let's finally try to run this pipeline, bro. If this time it fails, then what I can do? So let's wait, but I think it should run fine this time. In progress, queued. So I will wait here. If everything is fine, then I can proceed with the approval gates and all, everything. Okay, that is the only drawback I see with the lookup activity that we use. It takes a lot of time to just simply read the data. Like they should just optimize this activity, because we use this activity a lot. So currently this pipeline is running, so I hope this will work fine. Copy. If one activity, oh, okay, it's fine. This is running fine. Okay, so now finally let's try to add the approval gate. Let's try to jump to our ADO. Perfect. So here this is perfect. Now how we can just add the approval gate? For that we leverage something called as environments in the pipelines. So simply click on environments, and here we will create one environment, and I will create this environment as PD or prod PD. Okay, resource none, and simply say create. So here I can just add the resource. Do I actually need resources? Actually not. I just need to add the approvals to this environment. I will simply say approvals and checks, and I can say plus add, and then I can say pre-check approvals, or you can say approvals. Yeah, let's say approvals, and then say next. And approvers I should just assign myself because I'm the only one here, and then I can say create. So now what will happen, whenever I'll be deploying anything to prod, then I would need to approve because I am the approver. In your case, it can be you, it can be your manager, it can be your senior developer, anyone, right? So here I will approve my changes in the prod environment. But do you know what? If I go to my repositories, if I just go to my CI/CD and deploy pipeline, the change is not very simple. Why? Because see, here what exactly I'm doing in deploy, or basically you can say CI/CD pipeline. Here I'm simply using a job called job. So what? You need to use job. Yes, there are two types of job. One is normal job, which is this one. One is deployment job. Oh, so now we need to use deployment job, because when we use deployment job, only then we can use environment within this, because deployment job means deployment to prod. So this is a special type of job that we just create. So let me just show you how you can just create that step. By the way, it is very, very simple, but yes, we need to do that. So here I will simply edit this pipeline, and I will add the step for deployment to prod with approval gate. I hope that you understand PD as production. Okay, do not confuse it with approval gate. Okay, now the I should use depends on, I think, deploy to QA. Yeah, because I just want to deploy to prod after QA. Perfect. So now what I will do, I will simply say that I want to deploy this job, and this job will be deployment instead of job. Make sense? And the environment is PD. This is not your environment variable or whatever that we have just created at the top for the CD build pipeline. No, this is the environment that links to your environment in pipelines. Here, when you just go to the pipelines, this is this environment. Make sense? This is not the environment parameter that we have created. This is the environment built-in system variable. Makes sense? And then we just simply say run once, deploy steps, checkout self, which is optional. You can just ignore it, but simply add it for the security. And then template the location where is our CD build pipeline, and then all of the things that we have just provided, like this environment and blah, blah, blah. Make sense? I hope it makes sense. Okay, very good. So let's commit this and let's see what exactly we get. And this is also commit. And CD deploy should have everything, I think so. Yeah. So now what will happen if I just try to run the pipeline for prod, it will deploy the things for to dev, to QA, and then to prod. But before deploying to prod, it will ask for the approval. But do you know what? I first need to make some changes so that I can see like what exactly the changes do we have. So what I will simply create a new pipeline, and I will simply say demo pipeline. Let's say any activity, let's say wait activity, because we just want to perform anything. And let's actually, and wait, why I'm just making changes in QA? Wow. We first need to go to dev. Okay, I was overexcited, but do not worry. So here what I will do, I will go to the dev workspace, and here I will go to, let me just see if I just saved it. Yeah, so this is saved. So now what I will do, I will simply go to my Data Factory. This is the dev environment. I will create a new feature branch to make a change, because that's how we should make the changes. And here I will say author, and this is the main branch. I do not need to do that, so I'll simply say new branch. Let's say feed Ansh, create, and pipeline. And here let's say I just want to add a new pipeline, and this time I just want to add wait. Perfect. And I will simply save it. Very good. And then I will create a pull request, but I do not want to do it because it will automatically trigger the pipeline. Before doing this step that we are going to do right now, you should make sure that your prod resources are created and configured exactly the way we created for QA. I hope you have done that. Okay, very good. So this is my resource group, ADF CI/CD prod, and these are the information there. And now we can simply go to our CI/CD pipeline, and just to make sure like everything is fine, so what I can do, I can double check my parameters. Like parameter is fine. Okay, PD. And if I remember that we have resource group for, let me just check the library. So for the prod group, the resource group is named as ADF CI/CD prod, not PD. So this was a quick check. Very good. And rest of stuff are PD. So that is fine. So now do you know what I will do? I will also, let's say this is dev cancel. So by the way, I just checked the pipeline. Everything is perfectly running for the previous one. This is the pipeline 2. Then I can also turn on the trigger. I can, let's say, go to monitor. If I just go to trigger, where is the trigger? Yeah, here. So it is currently in the off state. Let me just turn it on, and this is started. So now I can do one thing. I can now save the all. By the way, this is like automatically saved. So now what I need to do, I simply need to merge or create the pull request, and I want everything to be run automatically. And for that, I will make the final change. If you would remember in our pipelines, we just change the pipeline name, or you can say trigger pipeline name, from main to main M purposely, so that we can just test everything. So what I will do, I will simply click on edit pipeline, and let's say main. So now what will happen, if I have any changes in the main, it will automatically make those changes. But there is a thing. What if I make the changes right now? It will simply start the run, so I will immediately cancel it, and then I will just do the work. Okay, so let's say validate and save. Variable group was not found or use. Oh really? Which group? So we have dev group, QA group, and PD group. So I think we had the group. I think the name was different. Let me just check the groups. Oh, this is called prod group. Okay, let me say prod group and validate and save. Variable group was not found, or is prod group, prod. Now deploy to QA appears more than once. Okay, more than once. Deploy to, oh okay, so we just need to change the name here. Deploy to prod. I think now it is good. Yeah, silly things. And now quickly go to pipelines. It will start the run, and I just want to cancel it. Should I cancel? Yeah, we can cancel it. Just go here and simply say cancel. Yes, because I don't want to run it for now. I want to simply run it when I want. So what I will do, I will create the pull request for my changes that I have made. So I'll simply go to my repository, and I will click on the branches. And here I have the branch called feature branch, and very good. I just renamed feed/Ansh instead of underscore, so it has created a folder. Very good. So what I will do, I will simply create a new branch. Not a big deal. So let's say new branch. This is one of the drawbacks that we have within ADF. So I have to say, let's say feed Ansh, and I want to create a branch for main. And then let's quickly create that pipeline that we created before, and I will add wait activity. Perfect. Save and okay, and I will turn on the trigger like this. Perfect. So these changes are there. So now I have two options. I can click on create pull request from here as well, or I can create a pull request from my ADO as well. If I refresh, I should see the branch. See, ADF publish and main were there. Feed Ansh is also there. I have seen people creating pull request from here directly, which is a better approach. So simply say create pull request. So I will create the pull request. It will directly take me to this page. So simply confirm feed Ansh is going to be merged with main. So I will simply say added pipeline, simple. And here I can just say create. It will send this request to the approver. I am the approver. I will simply approve it. Perfect. And then I will simply say complete, and it will complete the merge, and it will delete the branch. Complete merge. So let's wait. So the moment it will just merge the changes, it will automatically trigger my CI/CD pipeline. I can also see it right now. See, it is automatically triggered. Now let's monitor it and let's see what will happen, because we know, oh, it is just deploying to production directly. I need to cancel it. Wait. I think something is wrong. So it is still deploying my pipeline directly after build ARM template instead of deploying after QA. So let's see what is the issue. So let's go to pipelines and let's edit it. Not from here. Let's go to repos and then let's go to CI/CD pipeline, and from here I think we just need to say depends on in the prod deployed prod build ARM template. I told that it should be deployed to QA. I don't know if it was saved or not, because I remember I just changed it. Deploy to prod. Okay. Deploy to prod, deploy to QA, depends on this thing. Makes sense. Okay, now it looks good. Simply say commit, and we need to stop this trigger because this is like automatically triggered. So let's say cancel. Now it looks good. So now I will just make one more change, because you know that we have one more issue. So I will simply create a new branch. Let me just refresh it, because I want to perform let's say create a new branch from here directly, feed Ansh new, and then say save. And in this branch, do you know what I will do? I will create one more pipeline. Let's say new pipeline, and let's say wait activity, simple, save, and okay. Perfect. And let's create a pull request directly from here. Makes sense. Create, approve, and complete. Boom. Now we can just go to our pipelines just to see how does it look like. Perfect. So now it is good. So now it will simply say build ARM template, deploy to dev, deploy to QA in parallel, and then it will wait for production. Makes sense? Let's see. So as you can see, my pipeline is deployed to dev and QA, but now it is waiting for permission. But Ansh, Lamba, this is the permission that we saw in dev and QA as well. What is different? Obviously, this is the one-time thing. Let me just click on view and permit. But here I have two permissions. One is obviously for this thing. Okay, let me just say permit directly from here, and I will not permit this thing. So I will simply show you what it will just show me. See, permission needed. So I will simply say view and then permit. So currently I have just allowed for the environment PD, and then one check in progress. What is that check? This check is that check that you need to approve. Click on this and then review. Then again, this time you need to just provide some comment. Let's say everything looks good. This is that particular check, the final check that you need to approve for the deployment. This is the environment PD check. This is not the one-time check. This is the check that you need to approve or someone needs to approve. Make sense? And you can even reject it. So this is that particular phase when you need to wait for the users to give a green light for the deployment. It can wait for weeks. It can wait for days. It depends. It does not need to be approved right away. I hope it makes sense. Makes sense. So let's try to approve it, because we think that it is good to go. Simply say approve, and now it will start deploying my job, or basically resources, to production. And meanwhile, we can just test our QA environment. If everything is fine, we can just go to, let's say, QA. If we go to Data Factory, launch Studio, and this should have my both of the pipelines that I have. Let's say okay, perfect. And if I just go to, let's say, monitor, if I just go to manage triggers, I should see my trigger is in the started position because I used pre-post script. Otherwise it would not be possible. Okay, so this is in the started position. I didn't start it in QA. Simple. So let's wait for our main pipeline, which is this one. So currently it is deploying to prod. So one step is clear, stop current ADF artifacts. Perfect. If this is fine, that means, bro, you learned how to deploy the stuff related to Azure Data Engineering. And start ADF triggers. And this is the crucial step, because I have seen a lot of times that this is that step where things can go wrong. So let's wait. because it needs to turn on the triggers. And do you know why it is like crucial? Because it does not turn on all the triggers. It simply first of all check what are the updated triggers, and what triggers were in the off position, it will simply off them as well. So let's wait. Oh, I think everything is good. Wow, deployment to prod is also done, and I can see it right now. Let me just check my prod group. So this is my prod resource group. Let me just go inside the data factory, and here I will simply do the testing with the resources. First of all, pipelines. Perfect. Let me just go to the linked service. It is pointing to prod. Very good. It is pointing to prod here as well. Very good. If I run the pipeline, and obviously we do not have that particular file, but if you just run this, it should run fine. Not a big deal. So yes, finally after so many iterations, because see, that's how you learn the things, that's how you just understand the things, because YAML pipeline is just a copy paste thing if you just think about it from, let's say, 100 feet, but when you just dig deeper, you need to understand like what exactly those pipelines are doing. Then only you can tweak it, then only you can modify it according to your business, according to your organization. I hope it makes sense, right? So this is the folder that we have created, CI/CD, and everything inside this folder. And I hope you learned a lot of things, in particular this architecture and the modern architecture, not the normal one. And do you know what? These CD pipelines are not even in the documentation. So this is something that will actually put you in the good position in the data engineering, especially in the Azure data engineering. So I hope you loved the video. If you loved the video, simply hit the like button, subscribe button, and share this video with your friends. And I'll see you in the next video. Happy Sunday.